Chapter 1637. 1637. I hope worryless Nya will remain safe and sound before she recovers her memory, the man said. What about after she recovers her memory? Nya Linglong asked. After her memory recovers. The man's evil nature enveloped the room without restraint, and the chilling scar at the corner of his eye looked immensely ferocious. After she remembers everything, I will personally make her suffer in hell. Your taste is rather unique indeed. Nya Linglong snorted. Who you need to pay heed to is nameless Nya, not worryless Nya, the man said. Nya Linglong sneered scornfully at the mention of nameless Nya. There's no need to worry about my brother. He's obsessed with martial arts, and is now wholeheartedly focused on using all sorts of crooked means to earn money. However, if my brother really becomes a hindrance, I don't mind eliminating him. Oh, the man pensively looked at Nya Linglong. No one in the independent state dares to claim they can eliminate nameless Nya. Your brother can fight even piece of shit. Yet you say you can? You. Unfortunately, he has too many fatal weak points. Using martial strength is the most idiotic method to reap my brother's life, but there are simply too many other methods to kill him, Nya Linglong said with a sneer. Ha! No need to startle the snake. You just need to utilize your brother's shortcomings and make his parents evict him from the Nya family. This way, the only heir will be the fake worryless Nya. As for Nya Tangxiao, he's too young and not worth mentioning. However, you must leave worryless Nya to me, the man said. My time is limited, so I can't guarantee whether she can recover her memory. I don't care about worryless Nya as long as she doesn't hinder me. Otherwise, I don't have that much time to wait for her to recover her memory. After saying that, Nya Linglong left without looking back. After Nya Linglong left the martial arts union's main hall, a man wearing a silver mask walked out from the back, his aloof voice ringing in the hall. Nya Linglong is becoming harder to control. The martial arts union's president smirked, swishing the wine in his glass. Everything's going according to plan. It won't be long before it's time for the independent state to have a change in atmosphere. It's becoming more interesting. Other people are insignificant, but Nya Linglong's strength is growing stronger, so we need to keep a watch on her. There's nearly no one in the independent state who can suppress her now, the masked man softly said. Heh. The president's lips turned up, full of maliciousness. When a person is too greedy, it's like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. For Nya Linglong, if she wanted it, half the independent state would belong to her. If her infidelity grows too strong, I'll make her regret being born in this world. I hope so. The masked man sounded aloof. Currently, inside the Fearless Alliance, Yi Wanwan languidly leaned back in her office chair. After tonight, it would almost be time for her to return to Scarlet Flame's Academy since her 2A rank missions were easily accomplished already. She hoped Big Dipper's terrible acting wouldn't be discovered by the people at Scarlet Flame's Academy. Or else she would definitely come back and beat Big Dipper until he was dead. Yi Wanwan picked up the phone and looked at the messaging app she hadn't logged onto for a long time. Gong Su, Luo Chen, and others sent her a message every few days, mostly inquiring about her whereabouts. However, Yi Wanwan never responded to any of the messages and wouldn't contact them until she returned to China. Chapter 1638. Carefully thinking back on it. It had been some time since Yi Wanwan arrived in the independent state from China, and everything that happened in the independent state was surreal and unrealistic like a dream. She went from being an average daughter of the Yi family in China to the terrifying demoness and boss of the independent state. She even discovered her true identity. These mere few months in the independent state changed her life. Yi Wanwan's urge to find her lost memories especially intensified after learning she was the second miss of the Nya family, worryless Nya. Once she regained her memory, she should be able to easily resolve every mystery. Just what happened back then? Why did she abandon Tangtang, her parents, and the entire Nya family, and leave the independent state? Who was Tangtang's other parent? There were too many mysteries right now, and she was unable to discover the answer she wanted from this chunk of memory that didn't belong to her. Moreover, just what was the situation with the grandpa that occasionally appeared in her mind? Why did her grandpa lie to her and tell her that her parents passed away already? In the midst of Yi Wanwan's contemplation, she accidentally caught the silver-haired man's mood journal from the corner of her eyes. "Ah, little worryless, my wonderful disciple, where the hell did you go? Days without my disciple by my side are too boring." Yi Wanwan's eyes shifted, vaguely recalling this silver-haired man. Back then, if it weren't for this silver-haired man interfering back in China, her fate would have been too horrible to contemplate. "Little worryless," Yi Wanwan murmured. Could the little worryless that this silver-haired man referred to be worryless Nya? With the silver-haired man's martial arts skills, he absolutely couldn't be Chinese. It would make more sense if he was a resident of the independent state. On a whim, Yi Wanwan sent a message to the silver-haired man. "Are you there? Duguqiu by 1. This user is dead already. Burn some paper offerings if you need something. If you don't burn offerings, you won't have toilet paper when you use the restroom. Yi Wanwan. Duguqiu by 2. This user is dead already. Burn some paper offerings if you need something. If you don't burn offerings, you won't have toilet paper when you use the restroom." Yi Wanwan was speechless. Could this fool really be her master? Did he have to be so frightening? Yi Wanwan sent at least a dozen messages, but the silver-haired man didn't respond to any of them, as though he set up an automatic message response. She had no choice but to give up and wait for the silver-haired man to respond after seeing her messages. "Sis phone." Big Dipper suddenly sprinted into the office. Yi Wanwan casually set her phone down and glanced at Big Dipper. "What is it?" "Sis phone, I heard you asked to meet with Lord Azura at a bar tonight." Big Dipper looked secretive. "How did you know?" Yi Wanwan was puzzled. "Of course I know. That Jiang Yan is spreading news everywhere that you're a demoness trying to seduce Lord Azura, and even used Jiang Yan's life to threaten Lord Azura." "Lord Azura was forced to agree unwillingly," Big Dipper answered. Yi Wanwan. She never expected Jiang Yan to be a blabbermouth. "Sis phone, you should forget it. Lord Azura isn't someone to be trifled with. Moreover, he doesn't like women and is utterly devoted to Emperor Ji. Their love is more solid than gold. We should allow Lord Azura and Emperor Ji to be together. If we offend both parties and they team up to pulverize our fearless alliance, we couldn't take the damage." Big Dipper seriously tried to persuade Yi Wanwan. Chapter 1639. 1639. Without waiting for Yi Wanwan to respond, Big Dipper said, "Oh right, I remember something major that I just found out. Are you the independent state's freaking handy messenger?" Yi Wanwan asked. "What is it?" Big Dipper approached Yi Wanwan with a secretive expression and whispered, "Sis phone, I heard Madame Nya and Patriarch Nya flew into a thunderous rage today and harshly chewed Nameless Nya out." Yi Wanwan was startled. How was this major? Wasn't this normal for Nameless Nya? When wasn't Nameless Nya being chewed out black and blue by Patriarch Nya and Madame Nya? You might have a misunderstanding about what a major matter means. Also, why do you keep probing into other people's business? Yi Wanwan nonchalantly said, "Sis phone, what should I do aside from scouting for news? Under your management, the Fearless Alliance is gradually returning to the right track, so I don't have much to do. Also, it's different this time. I heard Patriarch Nya almost wanted to beat up Nameless Nya with his own hands. I think it was due to Second Miss Nya too," Big Dipper responded after a moment of thought. Yi Wanwan's brows furrowed lightly. Second Miss Nya was that fake worryless Nya. "Sis phone, do you think it's because they're fighting over the Nya family's inheritance?" Big Dipper grumbled. A casual remark sounded significant to a suspicious listener. Big Dipper's casual illogical remark held a different flavor to Yi Wanwan's ears. Fighting over the family property was unlikely, but if it was fighting over the inheritance and control of the Nya family in the future, Yi Wanwan's eyes glinted. That impersonator was discovered by Nya Linglong, so she had to be following Nya Linglong's lead. Nya Linglong must have found an impersonator to enter the Nya family for a reason. Just what kind of secret objective did she have? Nya Linglong didn't have any blood relations to the Nya family, so the Nya family's right of inheritance definitely wouldn't have anything to do with Nya Linglong in the future. This way, the only people who could gain the right of inheritance were Worryless Nya and Nameless Nya. As for Tang Tang, he was too young and wouldn't be under consideration. Yi Wanwan trembled. Nie Linglong couldn't inherit the Nie family since she was unrelated by blood, but if she found a fake puppet Worryless Nie, who was obedient to her, it would be an entirely different matter. Worryless Nie and Nameless Nie were the only legitimate heirs of the Nie family. However, as long as Nameless Nie remained in the Nie family, he would remain an extremely uncertain factor, since he was the eldest son of the Nie family, and there was an extremely high chance that the future right of inheritance would end up in Nameless Nie's hands. Nie Linglong probably wouldn't permit this kind of thing to happen. Hence, as long as Nameless Nie was eliminated from the family, the Nie family's right of inheritance could only end up in the hands of the fake, Worryless Nie in the future. After the impersonator took over the family, it would be the same as Nie Linglong gaining control of the Nie family. Nie Linglong. A cold glint surfaced in Yi Wanwan's eyes. If it was really as she thought, with Nameless Nie's personality, it was seriously too simple for Nie Linglong to get rid of Nameless Nie and get his name stricken off the Nie family's books. Yi Wanwan naturally didn't doubt Nameless Nie's martial strength, but in terms of schemes and shrewdness, he couldn't match Nie Linglong and the fake, Worryless Nie. He was a preschooler at most. Chapter 1640. Late at night. After Yi Wanwan changed into a light and comfortable outfit, she went to keep her appointment. Moments later, Yi Wanwan stopped in front of the entrance of a secluded alley. At the other end of the alley was a shabby, unremarkable metal door with the graffiti letters LD casually on it. LD stood for Lost Demon. This was the independent state's most famous nightclub. Yi Wanwan pushed open the creaking door. A wave of ear-shattering music ambushed her in the face, and the dazzling lights sent her vision blurring. It was akin to a whole nother world. This happened to be the busiest time for the nightclub, and everyone was reveling and wildly screaming. Yi Wanwan randomly found a corner to sit down and waited for her date, bored to death. She headed out early, so there was still half an hour before their agreed-upon time. Whether it was Si Yihan or Lord Azura, Yi Wanwan found it hard to imagine either of them coming to a place like a nightclub. It was off-putting no matter how she thought about it. Thankfully, although her methods might be a bit shameless, they came in handy. Since Lord Azura agreed, he wouldn't go back on his word. As expected, when it came to the meeting time, Yi Wanwan saw a familiar figure appearing at the entrance. The man was wearing a prim, white English-style dress shirt and light tan vest with a black trench coat on top. Amidst the people wickedly reveling at the bar, his elegant and reserved demeanor was truly too inharmonious and too eye-catching. Yi Wanwan couldn't help examining the man from head to toe, and she clicked her tongue. She was about to stand up to inform him of her whereabouts when she saw a beautiful and sexy woman blocking his path. "Little big brother, let's have a drink?" The woman sensually pressed closer while running her hands through her gorgeous curly hair. The man coldly stared at the woman who suddenly appeared in front of him, unfazed as though he was looking at an inanimate object. The beautiful woman was shocked by such a gaze, but became more interested instantly. Yi Wanwan was exasperated as she watched this scene from afar. Tisk! He had only walked 2 steps inside this place, yet he became a target instantly. That face of his was truly a charming catastrophe. Not many people knew Lord Azura's true appearance, so the woman naturally didn't recognize him, and wanted to hit on such a superb quality man. Yi Wanwan focused her vision, and surprisingly realized the beautiful woman had a familiar face. She seemed to be the hall master of a division hall of the Fearless Alliance. Jiang Yan, following behind Lord Azura, immediately blocked the woman like a door god. Insolence! Jiang Yan didn't hold any tender feelings for the fairer sex, and a murderous aura brimmed from his eyes. Scram! "Ah, you're rather arrogant. No one at LD Bar dares to speak to me like this." The beautiful woman's smiling expression darkened instantly, and she drew a whip from her waist. As soon as some nearby guests saw that signature dragon-boned whip, terror surfaced on their faces. She was a division hall master of the Fearless Alliance, the Hegemon Flower, Luo Linna. Did this man want to die? Why did he dare to provoke this Hegemon Flower? Jiang Yan had a stifled fury boiling inside him for ages and didn't have any patience now, so he immediately attacked. The watching guests noticed the commotion and eagerly watched the show. "Let's make a bet. Can the Hegemon Flower bring a beauty home tonight? Is that even a question?" Is there a man the hegemon flower can't sink her claws into? A swish pierced the air and Luo Linna's whip slashed toward Jiang Yin lightning fast. Jiang Yin dodged to the side and used his palm to strike one of her vital pressure points. Chapter 1641 How could Lord Azura's personal bodyguards be inept? The woman was careless and was hit in the chest. Although she avoided it in time, she probably still sustained heavy damage. The woman didn't expect the other man to be so skilled, and she lost all traces of carelessness. The duo entered a fierce fight. A group of people was boisterously watching the show from the biggest booth in the center of the nightclub. Some higher-ups and core members from the Fearless Alliance were having a gathering at the club tonight. Earlier, Luo Linna said she saw a superbly handsome man, and promptly approached the man to hit on him. This group was currently betting on how many seconds it would take for Luo Linna to get the man this time. Hall Master Luo ran into a hard-to-crack nut. That's right. After all, Hall Master Luo managed to get previous men with her looks alone. Who's that man? How come I've never seen him before? He even brought a personal bodyguard with him to a nightclub. Which family's young master is he? Who cares which family he came from? He'll definitely be our Hall Master Luo's man tonight. Ha 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 ha. What are you playing that makes you all so happy? At that moment, Big Dipper and 7 Star entered from the main entrance on the other side of the club. Haha, Hall Master Luo took a liking to a handsome guy but failed in her seduction, so she started fighting with the guy's personal bodyguard and plans to get him forcefully. A member explained. Wow, so explosive. Quick, give me a handful of seeds. Big Dipper hastily grabbed a handful of seeds and started watching the show. Meanwhile, 7 Star already caught clear sight of the person Luo Linna provoked. His expression changed and a headache crept over him. Shit. How could such an entertaining show be shit? Big Dipper rolled his eyes at 7 Star before returning to the fight. At that moment, a light swept over the commotion, illuminating the faces of Lord Azura and Jiang Yin. Hack. Big Dipper started choking when he saw the faces, scared shitless. 7 Star disdainfully started clapping Big Dipper's back. Fuck. Linna wants to die. Big Dipper painstakingly said after finally spitting out the seed stuck in his throat. The other members of the Fearless Alliance remained ignorant and continued to watch the show excitedly. They even started hollering. Hall Master Luo. Go. Bang him. Big Dipper looked at those people with sympathy and inwardly lit candles for each of them. Today he discovered Sis Feng had a date with Lord Azura, so he came to protect her. However, he found out a group of brothers from the Fearless Alliance was also having a gathering there tonight, so he went to them and sat down. He never would have expected these punks to stir up this kind of trouble. What should we do? Has Sis Feng arrived yet? Big Dipper asked. 7 Star swept over the room, his gaze locking onto a certain spot. She's here. It's over. Little Nana, I'll burn some incense for you during Qingming from now on. Swish. At that moment, during the intense fighting, the end of Luo Linna's whip accidentally curled toward Lord Azura. My lord! Jiang Yana exclaimed in rage. However, the man stood in his spot without moving, not even blinking his eyes. A second later, before Jiang Yan could block it, a slender hand unflinchingly caught the violent whip. As Yi Wanwan clutched the whip, she met Lord Azura's gaze and didn't forget to greet him with a grin. Hey, Lord Azura. As expected, Yi Wanwan didn't get a response from the man, but she didn't care. Chapter 1642. 1642. Oh wow. Awesome. There's actually someone fighting over a man with Lin Na. It's gonna be a good show. Some ignorant Fearless Alliance members who didn't see Yi Wanwan's face shouted excitedly. Who dares to steal my man? Do you want to die? Luo Linna roared while forcefully pulling on her whip. Yi Wanwan finally looked away from Lord Azura and released the whip before turning around. She hooked her arms around Lord Azura's arm while looking at the beautiful hallmaster in front of her with a nonchalant smile curling on her lips. She uttered, Me. The second Yi Wanwan turned around, the color drained from Luo Linna's face and her whip loudly dropped onto the floor in shock. She almost knelt down reflexively. Pre-president. Shit. Why is it president? Luo Linna never would have expected the newcomer to be her own boss and was stupefied. In the distance, Big Dipper saw Luo Linna's expression and inwardly mocked. Only this and you're shocked? If you knew who you were hitting on, would you be terrified to death? President, forgive me. I didn't know it was your esteemed self. Luo Linna hastily bowed and pleaded in fright while carefully peering at the man next to Yuanwan. She didn't know if she saw things wrong due to the dim lighting, but the man's previously blank eyes looked like a flame had ignited inside of them after the president latched onto his arm. Yuanwan saw Luo Linna secretly looking at the man next to her, and wore a gentle smile on her face as she coolly said, Linna, if you look at him again, your president, might do something brutal. I was wrong. I didn't do it on purpose. Forgive me, president. Luo Linna quickly lowered her head in fright, and didn't dare to take a second look. This is terrifying. The man's cool gaze softened a little as he watched the girl's little threatening expression. Good girl, Yuanwan smiled and started to lead the man inside. Detecting the man wanting to pull his arm away, Yuanwan said, Esteemed Lord Azura, please understand the extent to which you can attract trouble. I'm not trying to take advantage of you, alright? But if I don't do this, I'm afraid you're going to take all night, and you still won't be able to walk a few steps. Lord Azura. Jiang Yan behind them spat out, Vixen. This was clearly an excuse to take advantage of my lord. All members of the Fearless Alliance are birds of a feather. Under the dim lighting, the amused guests watched as a woman abruptly appeared, and immediately took away the man of the hegemon flower, Luo Linna, in front of her. The majority of the guests didn't recognize Yuanwan though. Luo Linna had a fiery and explosive temper, but she watched her man being stolen away and didn't do anything. Instead, she stood there fearfully and didn't even dare to protest. Fuck me. What's going on? Just who's that woman? I don't know. The other guests didn't understand the situation, but there was no way the group from the Fearless Alliance didn't recognize their own president. After taking a good look at the woman, the previously hollering spot transformed into a graveyard, silent without a decibel of sound. What did they just see? Yuanwan was waiting intently for Lord Azura earlier, and didn't know many people from the Fearless Alliance, so she didn't notice her own people here. After seeing Big Dipper and Seven Star, she finally realized which faction was in the center. She naturally had to go over and greet them. The moment Yuanwan arrived, the previously crazily partying group straightened their backs in a wave like a group of grade schoolers seeing their teacher. President. Have a seat, President. Yuanwan nodded her head but waved her hand with a smile. No need, your president is very busy tonight, so do as you please. Chapter 1643 HM. I'll be very busy tonight. Why do these words sound wrong? Sent off by gazes from the Fearless Alliance members, Yuanwan led the man to a corner in the bar and sat down. As for Jiang Yan, he guarded the table without straying an inch like a door guard. Yuanwan didn't mind being strictly guarded though. She'd still do whatever she needed to do. Nearby, the Fearless Alliance members relaxed with lingering trepidation. I was scared to death. Right? I didn't expect to run into the president here. Luo Linna was on the brink of tears. She hastily picked up a glass and chugged it down to soothe her shock. I'm the one who's scared to death, alright? It's an utter miracle that I managed to return. After all, she was basically trying to steal food from the mouth of a tiger just now. Big Dipper chuckled and threw some seeds into his mouth. You're scared to death just like that? If you knew who you were hitting on just now, wouldn't your spirit disperse? Huh. The man I was hitting on just now. Who is he? Luo Linna didn't understand. Big Dipper winked. Guess. Luo Linna was exasperated. Say, Brother Big, don't leave me hanging in this kind of situation. Big Dipper laughed. You're better off clueless. I'm really afraid something would happen to you from fright. Luo Linna drank some whiskey and raised her brows. Just who is he? If it wasn't because the president took a liking to that man, there really aren't many men I wouldn't dare to hit on in the independent state, alright? Unless he's Lord Azura. She randomly added the last part. Big Dipper bluntly stared at her and gave her a meaningful look before airily saying, Congratulations, you answered right. PAH. A coughing fit took Luo Linna by storm, and her voice was about to pierce through the ceiling. What did you just say? Big Dipper had a smug expression. I'm saying, the person you just hit on was Lord Azura. Are you fucking messing with me? He's Lord Azura? Luo Linna doubted whether this was the truth. Big Dipper rolled his eyes. Please. I personally saw him myself earlier. Could I have the wrong person? Damn. Isn't the president messing around too far this time? Wait, no, that's not the point. Luo Linna trembled fiercely, her face ghastly pale. How about I use my whip and hang myself? Heavens! That man is Lord Azura? Seriously? Is the president meeting Lord Azura to discuss official business? Ah, forget it. How could it be official business? Who would ask someone to meet at a bar this late at night for official business? Let's not fool ourselves. Ahem. Ah, what in the world is our president saying? What is it? Everyone curiously stared at the table in the corner after their shock subsided. At the same time, Yuanwan looked at the man in front of her with a smile. It's been a long time since we've met, esteemed Lord Azura. Did you miss me? The music from the stage suddenly became ear-shatteringly loud, so the man only saw her lips moving but didn't understand what she said, causing his brows to furrow slightly. Yuanwan acted like she expected this and suddenly leaned in close to the man's ears and repeated her words. It's been a long time since we've met, esteemed Lord Azura. Did you miss me? The girl's sudden approach led to her warm breath washing over his ear. Her voice was soft and sweet. The man felt like a jolt of electricity was gushing through his nerves, and his back instantly stiffened, causing him to automatically lean back. Chapter 1644. Behind them, Jiang Yan's eyes were about to bulge out. However, Yuanwan only spoke a sentence after leaning over, and she swiftly pulled back, so Jiang Yan managed to hold back. He still fumed incessantly though. The volume of the music abated a little, and the man quietly watched the girl speaking, fire and ice brewing in his eyes. Do you treat every man like this, President Bai? Yuanwan supported her chin with her hand and sipped from her glass. With raised brows she asked, Can I take this as the esteemed Lord Azura getting jealous? The man was silent for a moment before evading the question. Why did you ask to meet with me? Yuanwan sounded shocked. A girl like me asking you to meet at a bar this late at night. What else could it be for? Could it be I'm not obvious enough in my pursuit of you? Lord Azura, Jiang Yan. Vixen. Yuanwan had a regretful expression. Alright, fine. It's my fault. I should be more obvious. After saying that, she stood up abruptly and walked toward the stage. Yuanwan stopped next to the DJ and quietly said something to him. The DJ bobbed his head, and the music in the club swiftly changed to another song. Yuanwan picked up the microphone and ascended the stage, taking into her arms a guitar borrowed from the lead singer. Good evening, everyone. Yuanwan sat down on the tall stool placed on the stage and smiled. Oh, the Fearless Alliance members in the center booth whistled and cheered. Shit. What's the president doing? She's my sis Feng indeed. I just knew something big would happen tonight. My decision to come here to watch over her was right. I'm going to sing a song for a slow-witted friend. As Yuanwan said that, her dazzling eyes glanced at a certain spot below the stage under the resplendent spotlight. Oh. Damn. Is the president going to confess to Lord Azura in public? But that's Lord Azura. The president wants to be launched into outer space. My lord. This by Feng. She's simply too insolent. Jiang Yan was on the brink of exploding from rage, but unfortunately his master didn't say anything, so he couldn't act rashly. The man's unfathomable eyes were solely focused on the girl on the stage. The girl gently strummed the guitar to tune the sound. This was a song she learned by chance back in China. Thinking about it now, it was rather fitting. An energetic and lively prelude started playing. Yuanwan held the guitar and started singing the first line with closed eyes while concentrating. You have an allure that shatters the distance of time and space. I know, I can't let you go. I can't forget you. Memories of you haunt every city I go. The girl wore a clean and simple outfit with her hair pulled into a simple ponytail, and sat on the stool casually, her fair, jade-like skin seeming to glow underneath the spotlight. The moment she closed her eyes, it was like all the light in the world fell on her. Memories of you haunt every city I go. Even if the moon clashes with the earth, I want to be with you. No matter how wonderful this world is, it's no match for your perfection. When Yi Wanwan sang that last line, she opened her eyes, and her gaze shot toward a certain corner of the bar like the starry sky shedding light to the night. The hegemon flower Luo Linna clutched her pounding heart with flushed red cheeks. Fuck me. I'm shot. Boss is too good at flirting. The alley after a shower, the roses blooming everywhere. How beautiful is our love, like the lingering rays of the setting sun. Lean against my shoulder, and you can drift to sleep. Under the stage, no one noticed that the perpetually chilly like an iceberg man had a softness in his eyes never seen before. Chapter 1645. 1645. What stirred the man wasn't only the song she chose and her voice. It was the loneliness that flitted through her smiling eyes after she sang, "Lean against my shoulder, and you can drift to sleep." Under the stage, Seven Star watched as the room became more and more out of control and severely glanced at the jeering Big Dipper. "Are you done?" Big Dipper finally remembered that he came to watch Sis Feng to make sure she stayed out of trouble, and said with embarrassment, "I'll just watch a little longer." A little longer. After all, this kind of scene only happened once every millennium. Seven Star didn't hesitate and directly picked Big Dipper up by the back of his lapels and chased after Yi Wanwan. Outside the club, after disconnecting from the clamor and blinding light, the world returned to tranquility. Yi Wanwan felt a bit dizzy. No way, right? I just drank a few sips, so why am I drunk already? Could it be that it's not the wine that intoxicates, but the drinker who gets himself drunk, and I'm drunk from beauty? Yi Wanwan grumbled in a daze. Jiang Yan. Does this woman's every word have to take advantage of my master? My master is sacrificing too much for me. Under the moonlight, Yi Wanwan stood under the eaves of the building and stared at the man in front of her. She placed her hand on his shoulder and asked, "My esteemed Lord Azura, do you still need me to be more obvious?" "I don't understand what you mean, President Bai," the man expressionlessly replied. Yi Wanwan smiled. "We've circled around each other for so long, and both of us are well aware, so do we really need to keep competing with our acting skills?" Lord Azura stared at her smile, her singing still ringing in his mind. He looked a bit absent-minded and dazed. Yi Wanwan caught his inattention, and as she spoke, her hand on his shoulder imperceptibly started drifting toward his hair. That was right. This was one of her main objectives tonight. When she discovered her true identity, what she wanted to know the most was the identity of Tong Tong's biological father. A little bit. Just a little bit more. Damn. Why does this guy have such good quality hair, and doesn't have a strand of loose hair? She couldn't find an opportunity earlier, so she had no choice but to try her luck while he was distracted. Yi Wanwan didn't dare to forcefully pluck a strand since she'd definitely be discovered, so she secretly patted around. Yet she didn't obtain a single strand. Moreover, the man seemed to have noticed her odd actions and caught her wrist when she was about to try a second time. He stared at her, as though he was trying to ascertain her objective. Ahem. Lord Azura, you seriously have nice hair. I just wanted to feel it for myself. It's truly very soft. Yi Wanwan fibbed without missing a beat. This was the last straw for Jiang Yan. Vixen, enough already. You wanted to meet up with my lord, and my lord came. If you dare to act so insolently toward my lord again, don't blame me for being uncivil. An unusual cold glint flickered through Yi Wanwan's eyes. Hey, uncivil? Sure, you can try. The moment her words landed, a boisterous voice was heard from behind. Hey, who are you acting uncivil to? If you dare to touch a hair on my Sisfeng's head, the Fearless Alliance will tear you apart to your bones. Seven Star immediately glared at him. Only then did Big Dipper realize something amiss. Oh right, he clearly came to dissuade Sisfeng. So why did he suddenly start helping a tyrant perpetuate wicked deeds and forcefully rob a common man? Wait, how's the other person a common man? He's a great devil, alright. How sinful. Sisfong keeps adding fuel to the fire. If it weren't for the fact that Lord Azura was poisoned by love goo and couldn't kill Sisfong, the Fearless Alliance might have turned into a pile of ashes already. Chapter 1646. Jiang Yin intently stared at Big Dipper and Seven Star with a deep frown. This vixen actually gathered a group to snatch my master? For me, my master truly. Jiang Yin was deeply moved. You want to die? A cold glint flashed through Jiang Yan's eyes as he pointed at Big Dipper and shouted. Misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. Wait. Who the fuck are you talking about who wants to die? You door god. You guard dog. Pa. Big Dipper indignantly cursed at Jiang Yan livid. Seven Star glanced at Big Dipper. Do you still remember what you came here to do? Big Dipper was startled. Oh, we seem to have gone off track. Ahaha. Even if you're a guard dog, you're still a good dog. Misunderstanding, it's all a misunderstanding. Big Dipper swiftly walked toward Yi Wanwan and said with a grin, Sisfong, you drank too much. Let's hurry and return. There are still many matters waiting for you to handle back at the Alliance, Sisfong. Big Dipper grabbed Yi Wanwan's arm and tried to leave this place. However, the second Big Dipper touched Yi Wanwan's hand, he felt like ice encased his entire body and he involuntarily shivered. Who? There's a murderous aura. Who wants to sneakily attack me? Big Dipper cautiously examined his surroundings, but there was nobody aside from Lord Azura expressionlessly staring at him. Yi Wanwan was exasperated. Why did this fool come over here? He was too tactless. Couldn't he tell she wasn't done with Lord Azura yet? She still hadn't obtained a piece of Lord Azura's hair. The other purpose could be forgotten, but this was at least an S-rank mission at Scarlet Flame's Academy. Next to them, Seven Star sighed and slowly walked up. He grabbed Big Dipper by his lapels and quickly dragged him to the car. Master, we should go. There's something wrong with this vixen's head. Who knows what she could do later? Jiang Yin carefully said to Lord Azura. Lord Azura expressionlessly turned around and left. After entering the car, Si Yihan's brows locked together. The current situation had progressed in the complete opposite direction of what he had hoped. If this continued, it would be almost impossible to make Yi Wanwan leave the independent state and return to China. It wasn't that there weren't any solutions to make Yi Wanwan return to China. He would need to restore his identity as Si Yihan. At that moment, Seven Star, Big Dipper, and Yi Wanwan arrived at the Fearless Alliance's building. After Yi Wanwan exited the car, she headed straight inside the headquarters. Good evening, President. The Fearless Alliance members on guard that night immediately straightened their backs and plucked up their energy, saluting Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan greeted the guards and headed to her office. Big Dipper and Seven Star also entered a moment later. Sisfong, it hasn't been peaceful in the independent state lately. We should avoid provoking people from prison. Big Dipper hastily said to Yi Wanwan as soon as he entered the office. Prison? Yi Wanwan was startled. Who's from prison? Lord Azura. Azura's one of the 3 core factions of prison. Big Dipper said. Yi Wanwan. Who needs a reminder from you? Of course I know. Sisfong, when will you go back to Scarlet Flame's Academy? Seven Star asked her. The mission was finished now, so it was almost time for her to return to Scarlet Flame's Academy. Within the next 2 days, Yi Wanwan replied. Before returning to Scarlet Flame's Academy, she still had something to take care of, but it would take 2 days at most. Chapter 1647. Sisfong, I received a piece of news, but I don't know whether to tell you. Seven Star looked hesitant. Speak. Yi Wanwan frowned lightly. Had Seven Star mixed with Big Dipper too long? Why was he so fussy now? After Sisfong disappeared from the Fearless Alliance, a few of our Fearless Alliance's previous core members were held captive due to war. Over the years, the elders have sent members from our intelligence department to investigate their whereabouts. The newest information came yesterday and said they were in China, Seven Star said slowly. Yi Wanwan turned pensive when she heard that. Shortly after she came to the Fearless Alliance, she heard the Fearless Alliance triggered many wars after Bro Flat Top disappeared, and some core members were captured. No further words were heard from them. Who could have expected those captured core members from the Fearless Alliance would show up in China? It's an utter humiliation. Big Dipper was incensed. How glorious is our Fearless Alliance? How could our core members be captured? 7-Star glanced at Big Dipper. If it weren't for those core members back then, the Fearless Alliance might not have been able to hold on until Sisfong returned. Big Dipper laughed in embarrassment and quickly said, "What I meant was that those people who captured our Fearless Alliance's core members were simply too shameless. They should be hacked into 1,000 pieces and killed." "Do you know which faction did it?" Yuan asked 7-Star. "The Fearless Alliance made too many enemies back then and fought with countless factions, so we don't have any leads anymore," 7-Star answered truthfully. "China," Yuan murmured. She coincidentally also planned on returning to China soon. Her current position inside the Fearless Alliance was very stable, so it was time to make some advances. Otherwise, it wouldn't be good if she held the title of the Fearless Alliance's president without contributing anything to the Fearless Alliance itself. She herself would be embarrassed. "Okay." Yuan slapped the table. Big Dipper jolted in fright and turned to her in shock. Prepare. Help me gather the strongest elite members of the Fearless Alliance so that they can go to China with me," Yuan ordered with a smirk. Big Dipper was startled. "Huh? Go to China?" "Sisfong, China is thousands of miles from the Fearless Alliance. It would be fine if our enemies are small in number, but if they aren't, I'm afraid something might go wrong. The most troublesome thing is that we aren't familiar with China," Big Dipper hastily explained. Yuan, "You aren't familiar, but I'm familiar. You don't have to worry about that. I have plans in the works. Just do as I say," Yuan said. Upon seeing that Yuan had made up her mind, Big Dipper could only helplessly nod and agree. After all, Sisfong gave her orders already. What else could he say? The next day in the early morning, Yuan went to the Nye residence to see Tang and bid farewell to Madame Nye. After all, after returning to Scarlet Flame's academy, her next step would be to head to China and accept the mission of eliminating traitor mercenaries there while she was at it. So it might be a while before she returned. Inside the Nye residence's living room, Yuan served Madame Nye a cup of tea. Next to them, worryless Nye coldly watched Yuan with contempt brimming from her eyes. "Wan, I heard you're attending Scarlet Flame's academy?" Madame Nye asked Yuan while looking at her. Chapter 1648. "Mom, I've been enrolled for many days," Yuan answered with a smile. "Nice." Madame Nye nodded with satisfaction. Worryless and Linglong both studied at Scarlet Flame's academy. Studying at Scarlet Flame's academy isn't too connected to your background and status, but if you run into any problems there, just use Worryless name. "Sure." Yuan nodded with compliance. It was 12 by the time she left the Nye residence. Yuan didn't linger since she planned to go to Rose of Death's base and see how its formation was going. Rose of Death had been established for a while, and she left its management to little Lolita and Luiying without much hovering. The second she stepped through the main gates and left the Nye grounds, Nameless Nye popped up from nowhere. "Sis," Nameless Nye called her. Yuan halted in her steps and turned around. Nameless Nye looked a bit disheveled, and his state of mind didn't seem too great. "What happened?" Yuan furrowed her brows lightly. She heard Nameless Nye had an argument with his family. "Not much. I just had a fight with Dad and Mom," Nameless Nye replied with a sigh. "What was the reason?" Yuan asked. "It's nothing. Just some tiny trivial matters," Nameless Nye answered. Since Nameless Nye didn't seem too willing to explain in detail, Yuan didn't pursue the matter. Considering Nameless Nye's personality, it would be very difficult to make him loosen his lips unless he wanted to talk. After Dad and Mom pass from this world, who will inherit the Nye family? Yuan asked with a meaningful look at Nameless Nye. She absolutely couldn't clearly talk about some matters with Nameless Nye considering his personality, but it wasn't a bad option to go at it in a slightly roundabout way. Nameless Nye supported his elbow with one hand and rubbed his chin with the other pensively. A moment later he asked with displeasure, "Sis, you have an unlucky mouth. Dad and Mom are perfectly fine. Why would they die?" Yuan. The saying, a weak teammate does you more harm than a strong enemy, was right. Having a teammate like Nameless Nya was seriously too harmful. I was just making an analogy. What are you so aggravated about? Yi Wanwan glanced at him. If it's an analogy, then after Dad and Mom die, the Nya family. I'm the oldest, so of course I'll be the one inheriting it. Nameless Nya boasted with certainty. Yi Wanwan nodded lightly and asked with a smile. What if you didn't inherit it? Who'd inherit it then? What if I didn't inherit? Nameless Nya was startled. Why wouldn't I inherit? Who'd inherit if I didn't inherit? The Nya family has so many riches. Who would obtain all the money if not me? Yi Wanwan sighed. How did she have a biological brother like this? Did Dad and Mom save all their brains for her? They should have at least given a little to him. Stop spouting nonsense. Who'd inherit it if you didn't inherit it? Yi Wanwan frowned deeply. If I don't inherit the Nya family, then it's definitely my second sister who'd inherit it. If my second sister doesn't inherit, then it can only be Nya Linglong. Oh wait, Nya Linglong doesn't have any blood relations with the Nya family, so she can't inherit it, so it would be Tang Tang inheriting it. But wait, Tong Tong's still young, so he can't inherit it. Anyway, it has to be my second sister. Nameless Nya provided his analysis of the matter. Nice job. So if you keep angering Dad and Mom and go too far and they kick you out of the Nya family, you'd suffer a great loss. The right of inheritance would fall to someone else's hands. Think about it. The Nya family is so rich. All those gold bars, gold bricks, the stacks of money, everything. Yi Wanwan kept shaking her head lamentably while looking at Nameless Nya. Chapter 1649. Nameless Nya was astonished. How did you know the Nya family was so rich? You saw it? Rubbish. Yi Wanwan tried to keep a firm hold over her patience and said, the Nya family is one of the 4 great clans in the independent state. They might not compare to the Shen family in wealth, but how could they lack in wealth? Properties and such are secondary. What's most important is money, right? Of course. Money is most important. Nameless Nya nodded adamantly. So remember, no matter what happens, you can't have a fallout and fight with Dad and Mom. Yi Wanwan seriously said to Nameless Nya while staring at him. Yes. You're right, sis. I can't alienate myself from money. No wait, I have to obey and revere Dad and Mom. Nameless Nya looked contemplative. Yi Wanwan was sincerely worried about Nameless Nya from the bottom of her heart. With his personality, he was too susceptible of a target. He couldn't protect himself against schemes at all, and would even help his trafficker count money after being sold. If anything happens to you, call me ASAP. Yi Wanwan gave one more reminder to Nameless Nya, and turned to leave. If Nya Linglong and the fake worryless Nya really wanted to target Nameless Nya, Yi Wanwan couldn't sit back and watch. With her standing behind Nameless Nya, who knew who would come out on top? Mom liked her a lot at the moment, but she still needed to work on Dad. After all this time, Yi Wanwan obtained some understanding of Patriarch Nya, her biological father. He indulged the impersonator more than even Madame Nya. Yi Wanwan didn't blame her real parents for this though. After all, Madame Nya and Patriarch Nya hadn't seen worryless Nya many times, and she was frequently absent from her parents' sides even before going missing for many years. Hence, it was very normal that her parents didn't recognize her. What would be absurd was if they recognized her at first sight. A moment later, Yi Wanwan reached a certain suburb, and arrived in front of a large manor. Little sister, this isn't somewhere you should be. Before Yi Wanwan could enter, a string of strange laughter rang out from somewhere unknown. Yi Wanwan hadn't visited the Rose of Death's headquarters in a long time, and they probably recruited many strong new members lately, so it was reasonable that they didn't recognize her. Yi Wanwan didn't have a chance to respond before a breeze brushed past her, and a woman wearing a mask appeared next to her in the blink of an eye. Are Lu Ying and Old Jiang here? Yi Wanwan softly asked while looking at the masked woman. The masked woman was startled. Who are you? Black Widow, Yi Wanwan replied. The masked woman suddenly started laughing. Oh, you say you're Black Widow? Why didn't I know that Black Widow was so young? Little sister, Did you know that pretending to be Black Widow will bring calamity to your whole family? Who are you calling a pretender? The Rose of Death's copyright is in my hands. If I wanted to, I could create a White Widow or a Green Widow. Don't you know what a copyright is? Boss. An elderly man walked out of the manor and was shocked upon seeing Yi Wanwan. Ninetails. That's our boss, Black Widow. The elderly man hastily said to the masked woman. What? Chapter 1650. 1650. The masked woman quickly took off her mask, revealing a good-looking face with intense shock evident in her eyes. The young woman before her was actually the leader of the Rose of Death, the legendary Black Widow. How could she have believed it when this young woman claimed she was Black Widow just now? This subordinate deserves to die. In a flash, the masked woman knelt down on one knee next to Yi Wanwan with terror on her face. What kind of joke was this? She actually spoke to Black Widow like that just now. The ignorant are innocent. Yi Wanwan smiled lightly and gently pulled the masked woman up by her arm. The masked woman looked flattered and overwhelmed, tensely staring at Yi Wanwan from the side. Boss, this is Ninetails. She's new to the Rose of Death and was once an S+ rank mercenary from Stars and Sun Academy. The elderly man introduced her to Yi Wanwan. Ninetails. Yi Wanwan looked pensive. She had heard of this alias before. You're the defected mercenary who escaped after killing several S+ rank mercenary students from Stars and Sun Academy? Yi Wanwan asked. That's right. The woman nodded, confirming it. She was a defected mercenary indeed. No wonder. Yi Wanwan suddenly recalled that she saw a mission related to Ninetails when she was at Scarlet Flame's Academy's mission issuance board. Either kill or capture Ninetails alive, someone who was S-rank herself. She didn't expect this defected mercenary from Stars and Sun Academy to have joined her Rose of Death group. Boss. You don't mind that I'm a defected mercenary, and might attract retaliation from Stars and Sun Academy later, right? Ninetails frowned deeply and anxiously stared at Yi Wanwan. Ninetails herself didn't expect a formidable faction to dare to take her in after becoming a defected mercenary. Moreover, this formidable faction was the legendary Rose of Death. Yi Wanwan immediately sunk into contemplation. The more silent Yi Wanwan became, the more nervous and dejected Ninetails became. A moment later, Yi Wanwan looked up at Ninetails and asked aloofly, What? You think my Rose of Death would be scared of the mere Stars and Sun Academy? Ninetails' dejection and nervousness disappeared instantly, and she vehemently shook her head. Of course not. Stars and Sun Academy isn't worth mentioning in my eyes, Yi Wanwan indifferently said. Although Yi Wanwan was saying that, she was trembling inwardly. Was she boasting too far? After all, one of the 3 great academies wasn't a joke. Haha, Ninetails, what are you worried about? Did you think the Rose of Death would be scared of Stars and Sun Academy? Perform well, and perhaps the boss will eradicate Stars and Sun Academy for you when she's in a good mood one day. The elderly man interjected. Yes. Ninetails nodded frantically. Yi Wanwan. Eradicate your ass. Soon, Yi Wanwan followed the elderly man and Ninetails inside the manor. After learning of Yi Wanwan's arrival, Luiying, Old Jiang, and the others immediately came out to receive her. Although they couldn't match these new members of the Rose of Death in terms of martial strength, they were skilled at establishing rules and order, so they could be considered as talented manager types. Yi Wanwan knew everything there was to know about Luiying, Old Jiang, and the other group, so allowing them to be in management roles not only satisfied their vanity and ego but also set her own mind at ease. Chapter 1651. Sis Feng. Luiying called with a faint smile. Luiying felt very grateful toward Yi Wanwan actually. If it weren't for her, how could he have come to the independent state, and advanced to the top of the totem pole, and manage these experts who were hundreds and thousands of times stronger than him? Master. Little Lolita, Fatty, and the rest of their group swiftly walked over and greeted her. Accompanied by everyone, Yi Wanwan entered the living room. Luiying took out a document related to the division of manpower in the Rose of Death, and handed it to Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan took the document and carefully examined it. Recently, the Rose of Death recruited 3 S-rank mercenaries, one S+ rank mercenary, and hundreds of exceptional experts. Sisfeng, the more people we recruit, the larger our expenses get. The last page is our financial report. Lu Ying added with a furrow of his brows. Yi Wanwan immediately flipped to the last page. It had to be said that the Rose of Death's financial expenses were quite exorbitant lately. However, if an organization didn't have money, how could it strengthen? If they couldn't even afford to eat, who would be willing to join an organization that caused them to starve? Who cared if the leader was Black Widow? Even the Emperor of Heaven himself couldn't attract anyone. Currently, the Rose of Death is still starting off, so it's very difficult to make any profits. Old Jiang sighed. There's a way out. Lu Ying stared at Yi Wanwan, hesitating to speak. Speak. Speak, Yi Wanwan said. We can imitate the Fearless Alliance. As long as we imitate the Fearless Alliance, our finances and funds won't be a problem at all. And we would even earn a lot of money. Lu Ying replied earnestly. Imitate the Fearless Alliance? Little Lolita was dumbfounded. What do you mean? Why would we suddenly imitate the Fearless Alliance? Heidi also nodded repeatedly. Yeah. Could it be that the Fearless Alliance is super talented at earning money? Talented? Ah. What talent is there to the Fearless Alliance's money earning? They solely rely on stealing. The bearded man sneered. The Fearless Alliance is the independent state's infamous boss bandit. That's right. Lu Ying nodded lightly and looked at Yi Wanwan. If the Rose of Death can imitate the Fearless Alliance, the hole in our finances would be filled instantly. Yi Wanwan. Having one shameless organization is enough. Another one? Do I freaking want to lose all shame? Sisfeng, what do you think? Lu Ying asked her. Yi Wanwan pretended to think about it before promptly shaking her head. No need. I'll resolve the deficit in our finances using the Fearless Alliance's finances. The Rose of Death and the Fearless Alliance are brother organizations, so one of them being shameless is enough. Lu Ying, Old Jiang, Little Lolita, Lu Ying and the other 5 people all knew that Yi Wanwan was also the president of the Fearless Alliance, by phone, aside from being the leader of the Rose of Death. However, hearing the president of the Fearless Alliance calling the Fearless Alliance shameless, it felt weird for some reason. If the Rose of Death used the money that the Fearless Alliance stole to develop and expand itself, wouldn't that be more shameless though? Yi Wanwan immediately called the Fearless Alliance's finance department and told them to transmit a sum of money over. It wasn't a lot, but it should be enough to last the current Rose of Death a month. Also, although the independent state's businesses have been monopolized, the Rose of Death has many experts, so they can accept more mercenary missions, Yi Wanwan instructed them. Chapter 1652. It wasn't a permanent solution for the Rose of Death's survival to rely on the Fearless Alliance's finances. Eventually, the Fearless Alliance would develop resentment and complaints. Okay, Master, we understand. We know about the mercenary side. There definitely won't be any problems. Little Lolita hastily said. After overlooking some small matters, Yi Wanwan got up and left the Rose of Death's headquarters. Near the Fearless Alliance's headquarters, Big Dipper had been waiting next to the car for a long time. Yi Wanwan had already decided yesterday to have Big Dipper drive her to Scarlet Flame's Academy today. Sisfeng, when will we go to China? Big Dipper asked Yi Wanwan halfway through the drive. Finish gathering everyone with 7-star first. It'll be within the next few days, Yi Wanwan replied. Sisfeng, have you been to China before? What fun things are there to do in China? Big Dipper was brimming with curiosity. People like Big Dipper and 7-star rarely left the independent state their whole lives. Even if they left the independent state, they would only visit the little countries near the independent state that were behind the times. There are too many fun things to do. Haha, that's great. I've never visited China. Big Dipper chuckled gleefully, anticipation evident in his voice. In the afternoon, the car finally reached the base of Scarlet Flame's Academy. After Yi Wanwan got out of the car, she had Big Dipper drive back to the Fearless Alliance before embarking on her trek up the mountain. Standing in front of Scarlet Flame's Academy's entrance, Yi Wanwan briskly did her makeup before entering the academy. Yi Wanwan didn't hurry toward the D-rank mercenary classroom, and made her way to the mission issuance area instead. There was currently a sea of people around the issuance area, so she was forced to wait on the perimeters and watch. Some time later, Yuanwan frowned. After finishing 2A rank missions, where should she go to verify completion of her missions? Junior Sister Yi? Li Xian suddenly popped up from who knew where, and stopped next to Yi Wanwan with astonishment evident on his face. What is it? Yi Wanwan stared at him, confused. What do you mean, what is it? Junior sister, didn't you defect? Why did you come back? Li Xian anxiously examined their surroundings. What? Yi Wanwan was dumbstruck. I defected? That's right. Our class instructor said you defected. Li Xian quietly explained to her. A chilly glint surfaced in her eyes. That instructor, Zhang De, and Zhang Zunyan truly wanted her life. However, whether she defected or not wasn't determined by him. Say, does a sideshow D-rank mercenary like me need to defect? Yi Wanwan looked at Li Xian. If a mercenary reached S rank, they weren't allowed to separate from their academy without permission, and would be considered to have defected even if they switched alliances to a different academy. But a D-rank mercenary? I myself know that reasoning. It's simply a joke for someone to say D-rank mercenaries like us defected, Junior Sister Yi. But that instructor, Zhang De, definitely wants you dead. So he intentionally reported to his superiors that you defected, Li Xian said with a sigh. Yi Wanwan helplessly shook her head, utterly uninterested in paying Zhang De and his nephew, Zhang Zunyan, any heed. That's right. Where do I go to verify completion of my missions after I finish them? Yi Wanwan asked Li Xian. Li Xian entered Scarlet Flame's academy a few months earlier than her, so he had more knowledge than her about the academy's inner workings. Chapter 1653. 1653. After you complete a mission, go to the mission reporting area, and there are supervisors there to personally verify it, Li Xian replied. Belatedly, Li Xian started and stared at Yi Wanwan. Junior Sister Yi, didn't you rashly accept 2A rank missions earlier? What other missions did you accept? Why didn't I know about them? To Li Xian, the supposed mission that Yi Wanwan completed was definitely unrelated to the 2A rank people from the Fearless Alliance. Yi Wanwan was too lazy to continue explaining this matter since the explanation would go nowhere if Li Xian didn't believe it. After discovering about the mission reporting area, Yi Wanwan asked Li Xian to lead the way, and the duo headed there walking side by side. Junior Sister Yi, how about you, Fli? Zhang De is at least a low-rank instructor. We don't have what it takes to provoke him. Moreover, he already reported that you defected, so aren't you asking for death by going to the mission reporting area right now? Li Xian tried his best to persuade her. However, Yi Wanwan wasn't shaken in the slightest. Zhang De only had the guts to deceptively report that she defected because he thought it was impossible for her to complete 2A rank missions. Little did he imagine that not only did she complete 2A rank missions, but she also completed them within a week. Yi Wanwan would like to see how Zhang De would cover his lie. Moments later, Yi Wanwan arrived at the rear mountain area at Scarlet Flame's academy, where the mission reporting area was located. The mission reporting area was currently packed with people, like many A-rank mercenaries wearing their black uniforms, and even the occasional S-rank in a gold uniform. Typically, most people who came here were mercenaries who completed their missions and wanted to have them verified, so the highest-ranked mercenaries and even some top-notch elder-level figures from the academy could be seen here. Yi Wanwan saw that a group of A-rank mercenaries was ahead of them, lining up and filling out mission report forms. She had Li Xian wait on the side while she also got in line. Soon, a black-uniformed A-rank mercenary looked at her with confusion. Junior sister, aren't you at the wrong place? No. I also came here to report my mission. Yi Wanwan truthfully replied after a moment of thought. The A-rank mercenary shook his head but didn't say anything more. A mere D-rank mercenary came to the A-rank mission reporting area to report her mission? Could it be that a D-rank mercenary accepted an A-rank mission and completed it? What kind of cosmic joke was that? About half an hour later, it was finally Yi Wanwan's turn. There was a woman wearing an instructor's uniform, about 40 or so years old, at the front. The woman peered up and furrowed her brows when she saw Yi Wanwan's gray uniform. She expressionlessly said, "You're at the wrong place. This is the mission reporting station for A-rank mercenaries." The woman pointed at the nearby D-rank mercenary reporting area and aloofly said, "Line up over there." Ha 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 ha. Where did this newbie come from? She doesn't even have a brain. A mere D-rank mercenary newbie came running to the A-rank mercenaries mission reporting area to report her mission? Haha, are all her brain cells out of commission? Don't say that. She's a newbie, so it's normal for her to be ignorant of the rules. Some senior D-rank mercenaries wearing gray uniforms guffawed without restraint. There were dozens of classes of D-rank mercenaries at Scarlet Flame's Academy, and Yi Wanwan's class was but one of many. Hence, the majority of the D-rank mercenaries had never seen Yi Wanwan before. Chapter 1654. A D-rank mercenary lining up in the A-rank mercenaries line and wanting to report an A-rank mission truly elicited laughter from spectators. Yi Wanwan didn't understand the related rules, so she merely nodded and strode toward the D-rank mercenaries line. "Junior sister, you probably haven't been enrolled in Scarlet Flame's Academy for too long, right?" A D-rank mercenary asked Yi Wanwan with a smile. Yi Wanwan nodded. She truly hadn't been a student here for more than a few days. "The place you were standing earlier is dedicated for A-rank mercenaries, and is mainly for reporting A-rank mercenary missions. You have to at least complete a B-rank mission to report it there, which isn't something we can do right now," the D-rank mercenary explained to her. Yi Wanwan looked pensive. So it appeared there wasn't any problem with her lining up in the A-rank mercenary line earlier. "But I'm handing in an A-rank mission." Yi Wanwan frowned. Could she successfully hand in her missions from the D-rank line? An A-rank mission? The man was startled and examined her with surprise. How could a D-rank mercenary possibly complete an A-rank mission? At Scarlet Flame's Academy, the ranking of all missions matched mercenaries ranks 100%. D-rank mercenaries could only complete D-rank missions at most, and once a mission was elevated to C-rank, they would face enormous dangers and might even lose their lives. "Haha, junior sister, do you really know what an A-rank mission is? Don't tell me you accepted a D-rank mission, and your imagination turned it into an A-rank mission. I've never heard of a D-rank mercenary being able to complete an A-rank mission. If you said a C-rank mission, perhaps I might have believed it." Quite a number of D-rank mercenaries around Yi Wanwan all started making fun of her. Yi Wanwan was too lazy to counter them. It was fine as long as she could hand in her missions. About 15 minutes later, it was finally Yi Wanwan's turn. An instructor around 40 years or so first glanced at Yi Wanwan before expressionlessly saying, "Your name?" "Yi Wanwan," she answered. "The mission's rank, the process, any injuries or accidents?" The instructor continued listing off. The process was very successful. No injuries or accidents. "The mission is A rank," Yi Wanwan honestly replied after a moment of thought. "N." The instructor mechanically nodded before his expression promptly shifted. He lifted his head and stared at her. "What did you just say? An A rank mission? Did I mishear, or did you misspeak?" He had never seen a D-rank mercenary coming here to report the completion of an A-rank mission. "That's right, an A-rank mission." Yi Wanwan then handed a mission slip that she ripped from the mission issuance area to the instructor. Immediately, the instructor carefully examined the slip that Yi Wanwan placed on the table, with a deep frown. A-rank mission. Defeat Big Dipper from the Fearless Alliance. This was indeed an A-rank mission. But this mission had sat in the Scarlet Flames Academy's mission issuance area for many years without anyone accepting it. "It was you who ripped off this slip?" The instructor turned to Yi Wanwan, questioning her. "That's right, and I finished the mission," Yi Wanwan explained. "Junior sister, you can eat carelessly, but you can't speak carelessly and rip off an A-rank mission slip willy-nilly. If you didn't finish the mission, the Academy will put a demerit on your records." Chapter 1655. You finished an A-rank mission? And defeated Big Dipper of the Fearless Alliance. Several D-rank mercenaries rushed forward and glanced at Yi Wanwan with raised eyebrows. They had seen people blow their own horns before but hadn't seen people blow it to this extent. The size of her horns probably pierced the heavens. Heh, thankfully you're wearing a gray uniform, or else I'd really think you were an S-rank boss. A D-rank mercenary snorted at Yi Wanwan. Junior sister, don't deceive the instructor. The consequences aren't a joke. Yi Wanwan was brimming with exasperation in the face of everyone's incredulity. She really did finish an A-rank mission, all right? Are you sure you finished this mission? The instructor solemnly stared at her. However, before Yi Wanwan could speak, an abrupt voice rang out from behind her. She's a defected mercenary from Scarlet Flame's Academy. Seize her. As they spoke, Zhang Da and Zhang Zwenyan swiftly marched toward Yi Wanwan. A defected mercenary from Scarlet Flame's Academy? The middle-aged instructor and the D-rank mercenaries around them were all shocked. Instinctively, the middle-aged instructor suddenly stood up and stepped forward, blocking Yi Wanwan's line of retreat. Yi Wanwan remained unfazed and merely stuck her hands in her pockets, not making a single move to escape. Senior brother Zhang Da, what's going on? This new student is a defected student from the Scarlet Flames Academy? The middle-aged instructor hastily asked as soon as Zhang Da reached them. That's right. Zhang Da nodded. Many D-rank mercenaries looked astonished, and several also wore a deep frown. She was merely a D-rank mercenary. How did she become a defected mercenary? This didn't seem too logical. Although they were displeased by this junior sister's bragging, displeasure was merely displeasure. When it involved defection, it was an entirely different story. The slightest wrong turn, and she might be disposed of. Instructor Zhang Da, you aren't mistaken, right? This junior sister might have shocking looks and brag too much, but in the end, she's just a D-rank mercenary. Why would she defect? Furthermore, a D-rank mercenary doesn't come into contact with any classified information from Scarlet Flame's Academy. How could she betray us? A senior D-rank mercenary asked. What? Are you questioning me? A chilly glint flashed in Zhang Da's eyes as he stared at the senior D-rank mercenary. I'm not questioning you. The senior D-rank mercenary shook his head. As expected, no one dared to say much to contradict an instructor of Scarlet Flame's Academy and veteran C-rank mercenaries like Zhang Da and Zhang Zwenyan. Senior brother Zhang Da, when did she defect? The middle-aged instructor swiftly asked him. Zhang Da glanced at Yi Wanwan and snorted. I issued the Academy's compulsory mission earlier, but she refused to complete it, and even accepted an A-rank mission in front of everyone. Later, she realized on her own that she couldn't complete the mission, so she defected. I see. The middle-aged man looked pensive. A D-rank mercenary actually went to accept an A-rank mission in order to refuse the Academy's compulsory mission? This was the same as serving her own life on a silver platter. However, in this kind of situation, after accepting an A-rank mission, you had to complete it. If you didn't succeed or didn't try to complete it, a light consequence could be getting expelled, but a heavy consequence could be getting severely punished by the Academy before being expelled. Chapter 1656. 1656. Either way, it would be better than being considered as a defector. I'll go and call the enforcers here, the middle-aged instructor said. Defected mercenaries like her had to be reported and turned over to Scarlet Flame's Academy's Enforcement Council for judgment. Soon, the middle-aged instructor led several male enforcers there. A D-rank defected mercenary? The lead enforcer was startled when he saw Yi Wanwan. He had seen many defected mercenaries, but this was probably the first time he heard of a D-rank defected mercenary. Zhang Da immediately stepped forward and explained the entire situation to the enforcers. After learning about the details, the lead enforcer glanced at Yi Wanwan and impatiently ordered, "Take her away." Several male enforcers swiftly went up to capture her. "Hold on, everyone." Before Yi Wanwan had the chance to do anything, an aloof voice rang out. Everyone looked behind them. A young mercenary was slowly walking toward them. Li Hanfeng, Elder Gong's disciple in name. No, I heard he was accepted as a personal disciple by Elder Gong a few days ago. Several veteran D-rank mercenaries were surprised when they saw the man. It's him. Yi Wanwan looked at Li Hanfeng. She saw this man a few days ago at the mission issuance area. She didn't expect to see him again today. May I ask what everyone is doing? Li Hanfeng walked forward and asked Zhang De and the enforcers with a faint smile. You're Li Hanfeng? The lead enforcer assessed Li Hanfeng. That's right. Li Hanfeng replied genially. And help me give my regards to Elder Gong, the lead enforcer said. This is a defected mercenary from our academy. We're about to take her away and interrogate her. Heh, that's a bit of a problem. She'd at least lose a layer of skin if she paid a visit to your enforcement council, Li Hanfeng replied. Li Hanfeng, what are you saying? The lead enforcer knitted his brows slightly. Not much. I'd just like everyone to show me a small courtesy, and don't pursue this matter. How about it? Li Hanfeng asked. A small courtesy? Zhang De snorted. Li Hanfeng, you haven't become an S-rank mercenary student yet, but you're so arrogant already. I'm afraid your face isn't big enough for this. Zhang Zunyan's lips curled up. So what if it's Li Hanfeng? Does he think he can save a defected mercenary? Li Hanfeng, don't ask for trouble. An enforcer overlooked Li Hanfeng and moved to take Yuanwan away. I'm afraid none of you have the right to do anything to her. Don't blame me for not reminding you all to take responsibility for breaking the rules. Li Hanfeng nonchalantly replied with a smile. Breaking the rules? Zhang De and his cohort were all startled and looked at Li Hanfeng with confusion. What did he mean? Li Hanfeng, what are you trying to say? I'm telling you, she must be brought to the Enforcement Council to be investigated today even if the Emperor of Heaven himself came, let alone you. Zhang De coldly retorted. Is that so? The corners of Li Hanfeng's lips turned up, and he swept his eyes over Zhang De and his group. Then what would you say if she's an elder's disciple? Everyone looked at each other, bewildered when they heard Li Hanfeng's words. An elder's disciple? Li Hanfeng, who's an elder's disciple? Are you saying this woman is an elder's disciple? The lead enforcer's expression shifted. Chapter 1657. Li Hanfeng dryly glanced at Zhang De and the others. That's right. The lead enforcer immediately turned to Zhang De. They never heard that they were capturing an elder's disciple. At Scarlet Flames Academy, even if an elder's disciple committed a serious wrong, the Enforcement Council had to obtain the responsible elder's permission before they could capture the disciple. If the elder didn't agree, the Enforcement Council didn't have the power to take that disciple away without permission. Only then did Yi Wanwan remember that the Scarlet Flames instructor who received her when she first entered Scarlet Flames Academy took her to the residence of one of the 4 elders at the academy, Elder Gong, and Elder Gong accepted her as a disciple in name. If it weren't for Li Hanfeng mentioning this matter today, Yi Wanwan probably would have forgotten it a long time ago. Zhang De, you never mentioned this woman was an elder's disciple. The lead enforcer promptly turned to Zhang De with a deep frown. Zhang De snorted. Do you think that's plausible in the slightest? Which elder would accept a new D-rank mercenary as a disciple? The enforcers all met each other's eyes. Zhang De's words were reasonable. They had never heard of any elder from Scarlet Flames Academy accepting a D-rank mercenary as a disciple. Those elders themselves were absent of personal desires and placed all of their hopes on their disciples. Especially at Scarlet Flames Academy, the elders might look harmonious on the surface, but they fought ferociously in private. There wasn't an elder who didn't hope for their disciples to defeat the other elders' disciples. Hence, why would they accept a D-rank mercenary as a disciple? There wasn't any logic to that. Li Hanfeng, say, you must have an unusual relationship with this defected mercenary. You want to protect her, so you claim she's an elder's disciple. Do you know that you've committed a violation already? Zhang De coldly said to Li Hanfeng. Heh. Li Hanfeng smiled indifferently at him but didn't explain anything. Li Hanfeng, you said she's an elder's disciple, but whose disciple is she? Why didn't I know about this? The lead enforcer frowned lightly. If you don't believe me, you can take her away, but I've already said my piece, Li Hanfeng replied. Li Hanfeng, you said she's an elder's disciple. Tell us, which elder is she a disciple of? The lead enforcer asked. Elder Gong, he answered. Elder Gong. This junior sister is Elder Gong's disciple. How is that possible? Elder Gong is one of the 4 great elders at Scarlet Flames Academy, and his disciples have been seriously suppressed by the other elders' disciples in these past 2 years. Why would he accept a D-rank mercenary and ask for ridicule from the other elders? Many nearby mercenaries discussed wildly. Ha ha ha. You're saying she's the disciple of Elder Gong Li Hanfeng? Zhang De was teeming with mockery. Are you kidding me? Elder Gong was renowned for being cold inside and out at Scarlet Flames Academy. He absolutely wouldn't accept a disciple easily, especially since Elder Gong's beloved disciple, Worryless Nya, swept across Scarlet Flames Academy many years ago and became the Academy's legend. After Worryless Nya disappeared, Elder Gong's archenemy, another elder, accepted Nya Linglong as his disciple. From then on, Nya Linglong personally broke the records created by Worryless Nya back, then one after another, and became the Academy's new legend. This was also the exact reason that Elder Gong's archenemy stepped above Elder Gong and stripped away many powers that should have belonged to Elder Gong. Hence, this matter was related to Elder Gong's own face and dignity. There was no way Elder Gong would accept a D-rank mercenary as a disciple. Chapter 1658. Yi Wanwan reeled from shock when she heard everyone's discussion. Her freebie master was actually Worryless Nya's first teacher at Scarlet Flames Academy. Didn't that mean Elder Gong was actually her master? Yi Wanwan also heard people mentioning how her departure back then inflicted too great a blow to Elder Gong. Furthermore, Nya Linglong continued to break every record that Worryless Nya created, causing Elder Gong's archenemy to belittle him and step above him. Yi Wanwan's veins bulged on her forehead. Back then, she actually brought a thankless wretch home who kept everyone in the dark. What elder's disciple? A load of bullshit. Take her away for a detailed investigation. An exceptionally good-looking woman said after a glance at Yi Wanwan as she slowly walked toward them with an indifferent expression. Several high-ranked mercenaries were astonished by the woman's appearance. Mengku, Scarlet Flames Academy's new superstar and prodigy. Shortly after entering the academy, she completed 2 S-rank missions. She was the pearl of the Meng family's patriarch and was accepted as a personal disciple by Elder Gong's archenemy. Furthermore, she was Scarlet Flames Academy's new legend and Nya Linglong's direct junior sister. Yi Wanwan turned to Mengku. She saw this girl before when she participated in the entrance examination. She was an extremely conceited and prideful person. Mengku glanced at Li Hanfeng but didn't start a conversation. Why are you just standing around? Arrest her and interrogate her severely, Mengku said aloofly. Zhang De sneered and was about to instruct the enforcers to act when an expressionless elderly man wearing a brocade shirt suddenly appeared. Master. Li Hanfeng hastily walked forward and reverently greeted Elder Gong as he bowed at Elder Gong. Elder Gong glanced at Li Hanfeng and made a noise in response. Damn, this elderly man is Elder Gong? One of 4 great elders at Scarlet Flames Academy. An old legend of Scarlet Flames Academy. Worryless Nya's first teacher? I've heard about the 4 great elders, but I've been at Scarlet Flames Academy for so long and have never seen them once. For a D-rank mercenary like you, you would need to burn some incense to even see an elder's disciple. But you want to see an elder? Some veteran D-rank mercenaries wildly conversed after seeing Elder Gong. Damn. This junior sister can't really be Elder Gong's disciple, right? I think it's impossible. Strange, Elder Gong has been terribly suppressed by his archenemy these past few years due to his disciples, so why would he accept a D-rank mercenary? Wouldn't he just be suppressed even more harshly by his archenemy? Elder Gong, why did you come? The lead enforcer turned to Elder Gong in surprise. However, Elder Gong didn't respond. He looked at the nearby Yi Wanwan and said, Come here. Okay. Yi Wanwan reflexively walked to Elder Gong's side and called, Master. She couldn't help examining this seemingly lonely elderly man in closer detail. So he was her master at Scarlet Flames Academy back then? Everyone at Scarlet Flames Academy knew about Elder Gong's fondness for Worryless Nya. It was precisely because of this that Elder Gong was angered to the point of coughing blood when Nya Linglong became his archenemy's disciple, and intentionally broke Worryless Nya's records. For some reason, Grief weighed down on Yi Wanwan when she looked at the elderly man before her. I heard you wanted to apprehend my disciple. Elder Gong swept his eyes over the enforcers, Zhang De, and the others, and his aloof voice was akin to thunder. Zhang De was shocked and incredulous, and Zhang Zwenyan next to him also looked panicked. Chapter 1659. 1659. Zhang Zwenyan never imagined this woman was actually Elder Gong's disciple. If he knew Yi Wanwan was Elder Gong's disciple, he absolutely wouldn't have provoked her easily. Elder Gong, this student really is your disciple? The lead enforcer looked at Yi Wanwan with surprise evident in his face. Do I need to repeat myself? Elder Gong aloofly asked while looking at him. Elder Gong, that's not what I meant. The lead enforcer shook his head and wanted to say something else but refrained. Even if Yi Wanwan was Elder Gong's disciple, it would probably be difficult to protect her completely since she defected. Even if she's an elder's disciple, she can't escape from the academy's punishment after committing an offense like this. At that moment, the previously silent Meng Ku expressionlessly interjected. Elder Gong's icy gaze landed on Meng Ku. Young one, are you speaking to me? Meng Ku's brows knitted. She felt like a giant mountain was pressing on her. Even breathing was a bit difficult. Heh. Suddenly, an elderly man in gold robes slowly walked toward them and stopped next to Meng Ku. When Meng Ku saw the gold-robed elderly man, her expression shifted, and she hastily bowed and cupped her fists. Master. Greetings, Elder Leihi. The enforcers, Zhang De, and the others all hastily saluted when they saw the gold-robed elderly man. Zhang De especially sighed in relief internally. Elder Lei, he was also one of Scarlet Flame's Academy's 4 great elders. Moreover, he was Elder Gong's archenemy. After Worryless Nye disappeared and Nye Linglong enrolled in Scarlet Flame's academy, Nye Linglong became Elder Leihi's disciple and personally broke every single one of Worryless Nye's records at Scarlet Flame's academy under Elder Leihi's guidance, causing Elder Gong to spit out blood from anger. Especially in the past few years, nearly all of Elder Leihi's disciples effortlessly suppressed Elder Gong's disciples. A cold glint surfaced in Elder Gong's eyes upon seeing Leihi. He and Leihi enrolled in Scarlet Flame's academy at the same time when they were young. Leihi was handsome with a tall build in his youth, and he took advantage of Elder Gong's absence from the academy one time, and defiled his beloved wife. Elder Gong's beloved wife felt like she had wronged him and committed suicide not long after. Yet, Leihi vehemently claimed that it was Elder Gong's beloved wife who seduced him herself. The academy and Elder Gong didn't have any evidence, and Leihi had already become Scarlet Flame's academy's pillar by that time, so they dropped the matter. More than 20 years ago, Elder Gong sought Leihi out for revenge after getting drunk, and evoked the first of many internal disputes at Scarlet Flame's academy. In the end, Elder Gong couldn't use his full strength due to his intoxication, and the matter concluded with Elder Gong injured. Elder Gong, you're at least one of Scarlet Flame's academy's 4 great elders. Just because your disciple is useless doesn't mean you can show up yourself and bully my disciple. Leihi glanced at Elder Gong and snorted. Elder Leihi, Elder Gong's disciple defected from the academy, Zhang De quietly explained. Leihi smirked when he heard that. Disciple? Elder Gong, this D-rank mercenary disciple of yours is rather capable. She even dared to do something like defect. Defecting was taboo at the academy. Even the headmaster himself couldn't protect his disciple if his disciple defected from the academy, let alone the mere disciple of an elder. Following Elder Gong and Elder Leihi's appearance, the matter was exacerbated and alarmed many of the academy's higher-ups, including the Enforcement Council's president and many elders. Chapter 1660. As the number of higher-ups present grew, the sneer on Leihi's face grew. He wanted to see how Elder Gong would settle this matter. Elder Gong, why did you accept a D-rank mercenary as a disciple? Elder Gong, no matter what, since your disciple committed a betrayal, she must be punished accordingly. Many higher-ups piped in. Elder Gong frowned slightly and turned to Yuanwan to ask, Wanwan, what's going on? Did you betray the academy? Yuanwan shook her head minutely. Master, someone is purely trying to frame me on purpose. I didn't defect from the academy at all. What an enormous joke. Say, why would I, an instructor of Scarlet Flames, frame a tiny D-rank mercenary like you? Zhang De glanced at Yuanwan derisively. Heh. Yuanwan stared at Zhang De, the corners of her lips turning up in an icy smile. Since you do know that I'm a D-rank mercenary, please tell me why I, a D-rank mercenary, would defect instead of just immediately dropping out from the academy? At Scarlet Flames Academy, only mercenary students who have been promoted to B rank and above aren't permitted to drop out, and can only defect. If a D-rank mercenary like me wanted to leave, why didn't I drop out? Why did I defect? Do you have a brain? You. Zhang De pointed at Yuanwan. Insolence. How could you speak to an instructor like this? It'd be absolutely normal for a person disrespectful of their superiors and possessing strange thinking like you to do something atrocious like defecting. Disrespectful of my superiors? Yuanwan looked astonished. Are you referring to yourself when you say superiors? Strange. I paid money to come to this academy to study. Yet a low-ranking instructor like you robs D-rank mercenaries' money, but won't properly teach us in frames and admonishes your bread and butter in all sorts of ways instead. Why does Scarlet Flames Academy have vermin like you? You. Zhang De pointed at Yuanwan, his face alternating between red and white. There had never been a D-rank mercenary who dared to speak to him like this. What? Yuanwan's eyes swept over the D-rank mercenaries around them. See for yourself. There are so many senior brothers and sisters here. Some of them have been at Scarlet Flames Academy for 4 or 5 years, but are still D-rank mercenaries to this day. Aren't you the reason why? Many veteran D-rank mercenaries nodded in agreement. That's right. I've been a D-rank mercenary for 3 freaking years now. I haven't learned that much, but I pay so much money every year, and can't even rise to C rank. My family members all say that I'm a martial arts prodigy and learn everything quickly, so it definitely isn't my problem. Look, I've been here 5 years already, but I'm still a D-rank mercenary. Some Scarlet Flames instructors only make an effort to teach things after privately accepting some incentives. If you don't give them any incentives, they might even make life hard for you. I think this junior sister is completely right. Although everyone was full of resentment, they didn't dare to loudly discuss it and only whispered amongst themselves. Elder Gong, your disciple's tongue is as sharp as a needle. As a student of the academy, she publicly talked back to an instructor, and even claimed an instructor framed her. She's a bit too insolent, isn't she? An elderly higher-up coldly interjected. Heh, the apple seriously doesn't fall far from the tree. Leahy snorted. Elder Gong, we know you were very furious after worryless Nye disappeared and her records were broken by Nye Linglong. But Elder Leahy is truly better than you in teaching his disciples. You really don't need to randomly accept some terrible disciples and let yourself go like this, an elderly woman said while looking at Elder Gong. Chapter 1661 Seniors. Why do you need to waste your breath? Even if Elder Gong is an elder and his disciple committed a wrong, he can't act impartially. Even if the headmaster protects her, she'd still need to be punished, Mengke coldly said. Seize her. Leahy ordered the enforcers. The enforcers promptly encircled Yuanwan and made to capture her in one move. Let me see who'd dare. Yuanwan shouted severely. What? You think someone like you can resist? Mengke glanced at her. Who do you think you are? Yuanwan's gaze landed on Mengke. What did you say? A chilly glint flitted through Mengke's eyes. However, Yuanwan ignored Mengke and turned to Leahy and the other higher-ups instead. She snorted and said, You Scarlet Flames Academy higher-ups are seriously shameless. All the higher-ups present were startled. Ever since Scarlet Flames Academy was established, no one had dared to publicly insult the Academy's higher-ups and elders aside from worryless Nye. This woman was the second person to do so. Not only that, but she was also a mere D-rank mercenary. You deserve to be killed for your offense of disrespect. Zhang De yelled. Screw your offense of disrespect. Yuanwan rolled her eyes. You claiming that I defected is an act of slander and you're creating rumors. If I'm condemned by chance, you'd be committing homicide. Killing your own academy's mercenary is considered eliciting internal strife and betraying the academy. I'm asking you, which offense is greater? Before the higher-ups and elders could respond, Elder Gong turned to Yuanwan and said, Wanwan, you're saying you didn't defect and were wronged? That's right, Master. Yuanwan nodded. Ha, what a cosmic joke. You're saying you didn't defect? Do you have proof? An old woman asked. Ha, what a cosmic joke. You're saying I defected? Do you have proof? Yuanwan glanced at the old woman. You. The old woman trembled with anger. My words are proof. Zhangde shouted. Really? Why don't you shoot into the heavens then? Even the headmaster isn't as tyrannical as a low-ranking instructor like you. It was clearly because I discovered you had shady dealings with a higher-up from Stars and Sun Academy. Is that why you wanted to frame me in retaliation? Yuanwan snorted. Who's having shady dealings with Stars and Sun Academy? Don't talk bullshit. Zhangde angrily glared at Yuanwan. Stars and Sun Academy and Scarlet Flames Academy had always been archenemies. This kind of offense wasn't a joke. You have shady dealings with Stars and Sun Academy's higher-ups, so you wanted to silence me permanently. Yuanwan retorted aloofly. Do you have proof? Zhangde questioned. My words are proof. Yuanwan returned his original words to him. You little sharp-tongued bastard. Zhangde was livid from rage. Oh, I wouldn't dare to be a little bastard. I'm at least better than you, an old bastard. Yuanwan was all smiles. Wanwan, if you have proof, then show everyone. With Master here, you don't need to be afraid of anyone. Elder Gong said next to her. Yuanwan immediately told the whole story to Elder Gong. Master, I finished the A-rank missions, so I didn't defect at all. Yuanwan added with a smile. As soon as she said that, all the higher-ups, including Lei He and Elder Gong, all wore odd expressions. A D-rank mercenary claimed she finished an A-rank mission? Chapter 1662. 1662 You finished an A-rank mission? Elder Gong frowned lightly. This wasn't something she could joke about. Elder Gong, did you personally teach this disciple her bragging skills yourself? Where did a mere D-rank mercenary get the guts to run her mouth off here? Lei He indifferently said while looking at Elder Gong. Master, your ability at bragging truly can't compare to Elder Gong's, Mingke piped in. As Yuanwan watched the master and disciple's echoing act, she grew increasingly indignant on Elder Gong's behalf. She immediately turned to Elder Gong. Master, look, your quality truly can't compare to Elder Lei He. After all, Elder Lei He brings his disciple in tow even when mocking someone. Their ability to echo each other is much stronger than ours. Unlike them, we find it shameful. Lei He and Mengke both coldly stared at Yuanwan. Elder Gong didn't look any different. He said to her, Wanwan, you can't speak dishonestly about finishing an A-rank mission. If you have evidence that proves you completed an A-rank mission, Master will definitely seek justice for you. Yuanwan smiled faintly and pulled out the mission slip in the next second, displaying it in front of everyone. A-rank mission. Defeat Big Dipper from the Fearless Alliance. After seeing the slip, a wave of mocking snickers swept through the crowd again without any surprise. However, these snickers were directed at Elder Gong, not Yuanwan. At Scarlet Flames Academy, Elder Gong normally didn't give any leniency and conducted business brusquely and strictly, not stepping a single centimeter off the line. Hence, he offended many higher-ups, so these higher-ups took advantage of Yuanwan's matter and used it to suppress Elder Gong. No one actually cared whether Yuanwan truly defected. This was a game of power amongst Scarlet Flame's higher-ups. The Fearless Alliance. Haha, Elder Gong, isn't your disciple too cute? Big Dipper is President Fearless, capable left arm and confidant. The old woman ridiculed from her position next to Elder Lei He. Say, Elder Gong, does your disciple also know that her crime of defection is inescapable, so it's like she's smashing a pot to pieces just because it's cracked? Defeating Big Dipper of the Fearless Alliance? By just a mere D-rank mercenary like her? Lei He gave his disciple, Mengku, a look. Mengku instantly said aloofly, Heh, you claim you completed the A-rank mission of defeating Big Dipper? Sure, take out your proof. Doesn't the mission say you need a video for proof? Wanwan, the video. Elder Gong looked at Yuanwan. Yuanwan nodded and searched around her pockets. Her expression abruptly shifted. Shoot. I lost my phone, and the video's saved on the phone. Loud guffaws broke out from the crowd. Even the high-ranked mercenaries in the distance were clutching their stomachs from laughing. Wasn't the excuse of losing her phone too ridiculous? However, Elder Gong's expression remained unchanged, as though it was within his expectations. After all, his disciple in-name was merely a D-rank mercenary, so how could she finish an A-rank mission, especially one related to the Fearless Alliance? I'm Big Dipper of the Fearless Alliance. Whose mercenary are you to dare to challenge me? In the midst of everyone's guffaws, Yuanwan took out her phone and held it up with a wicked look. The phone was playing a video. Near the Fearless Alliance's headquarters, an extremely ugly woman's figure was akin to wild gales while her aura was akin to a terrifying tsunami. In less than 2 rounds, the ugly woman sent Big Dipper crashing to the ground with a kick and stepped on his fallen figure. I didn't lose my phone. I was lying to you. Yuanwan smirked. Chapter 1663. Absolute silence descended on the audience. In the video, Big Dipper crashed to the ground, cutting a sorry figure. How is this possible? The D-rank mercenaries were incredulous about the contents of Yuanwan's video. The president of the Fearless Alliance's confidant, Big Dipper, was defeated so easily by a D-rank mercenary from Scarlet Flame's academy and got stepped on. How could this have happened? What a joke. Mengke stared at Yuanwan. Is he Big Dipper of the Fearless Alliance simply because you said so? Most of the Fearless Alliance's people are mysterious, and outsiders rarely see them. What evidence do you have to prove it's him? Yuanwan's lips twitched. This woman is an idiot, right? Anyone with a single brain cell should realize no one would pull up a fake video in this kind of situation. It would be instantly exposed if that man wasn't Big Dipper. It appeared these children of the independent states' patrician families were a bit too obsessed with practicing martial arts, and lost their brains somewhere along the way. That's right. What evidence do you have to prove that the man in the video is Big Dipper? A mere D-rank mercenary like you probably can't even get near the Fearless Alliance, let alone defeat Big Dipper. Zhang Zwenyan also mocked her nearby. Before Yuanwan could respond, an S-rank mercenary student wearing a gold robe walked over and glanced at the howling Big Dipper in the video before expressionlessly saying, "The man in the video is Big Dipper indeed." In the Fearless Alliance, aside from the elders and Bro Flat Top, members like Big Dipper are typically very high profile, and many people recognize him. There isn't much room for faking it. Some high-ranked mercenaries who had seen Big Dipper before all nodded in agreement. Yes, the man under Junior Sister's feet is Big Dipper. I've seen him before. That person really is Big Dipper. Did this Junior Sister really get underestimated? She possessed the ability of an A-rank mercenary from the start, so how is she a mere D-rank mercenary? Upon hearing those high-ranked mercenaries, Zhang Zwenyan and Zhang Da's faces both changed. Who could have imagined a D-rank newbie like Yuanwan really single-handedly completed the A-rank mission of defeating Big Dipper? Mengke's expression darkened instantly. A mere D-rank newbie actually completed an A-rank mission within days of entering the academy. Elder Gong turned to Yuanwan, surprise flashing through his eyes. Back then he only accepted Yuanwan as a disciple in-name due to Emperor Ji. His passing friendship with Emperor Ji was one factor, but most importantly, Emperor Ji was the fiancé of his beloved disciple, Worryless Nya. If it weren't for this connection, he absolutely wouldn't have accepted Yuanwan even as a disciple in-name. Master, Junior Sister Yi was probably looked down on, Li Hanfeng said aloofly. Elder Gong pensively examined Yuanwan. Haha, Elder Gong, your disciple is quite extraordinary. She's only a D-rank mercenary, but could complete an A-rank mission. Nice. Elder Gong has picked up a treasure this time. Several neutral elders were all smiles. A higher-up around 50 or so years old didn't allow Elder Gong to respond before walking forward and stopping in front of Yuanwan. Child, you're probably just Elder Gong's disciple in-name and not his personal disciple, right? Yuanwan nodded honestly. Chapter 1660. For there was an innate difference between a personal disciple and disciple in name. A personal disciple referred to a disciple who inherited his master's life's knowledge and required a grand ceremony when the master officially accepted the disciple. As for a disciple in name, it didn't require any ceremony and a verbal promise would do. Typically speaking, higher-ups in the Scarlet Flames Academy might have hundreds of disciples in name, but definitely wouldn't have more than 10 personal disciples. Good. After learning that Yi Wanwan was only a disciple in name, the elderly man nodded and smiled faintly. Then acknowledge me as your master. I'll accept you as my personal disciple. Yi Wanwan was startled. It can also work like that. What are you doing? Are you stealing my disciple in front of me? Elder Gong immediately turned to the elderly man. Elder Gong, what are you saying? This lass isn't your personal disciple, so how's it stealing? If you mind, then I won't continue. The elderly man helplessly smiled at him. Still mountains away from Mengke. Back when Mengke was still a B-rank mercenary, she completed 2 missions, one A-ranked while the other was peak B-ranked and close to a rank. The old woman next to Lei He said, "Excuse me, please help me document my mission." Yi Wanwan ignored the old woman and turned to the mission reporting instructor. "Ah, sure." The instructor nodded furiously. "An A-rank mission, right? One more." Yi Wanwan pulled out another mission slip. A-rank mission. Defeat 7-star of the Fearless Alliance. Before anyone could react, Yi Wanwan played another video on her phone. Under everyone's incredulous gazes, 7-star of the Fearless Alliance crashed to the ground similarly from Yi Wanwan's kick after several rounds of fighting in the video. Damn. Am I blind? 2 A-rank missions? She also took care of 7-star. The high-ranked mercenaries were stunned. Li Hanfeng also found it hard to believe. Li Hanfeng himself didn't dare to claim he could defeat 7-star and Big Dipper from the Fearless Alliance, especially both of them at the same time. Elder Gong looked surprised. Did he really encounter a treasure without recognizing it? T2 A-rank missions? The documenting instructor stared at Yi Wanwan like he'd seen a ghost. This is a lot more impressive than Elder Lei He's disciple Mengke, right? Mengke's highest record is finishing an A-rank and peak B-rank mission when she was a B-rank mercenary, but Elder Gong's disciple finished 2 A-rank missions when she's just a D-rank mercenary. And both missions are related to the Fearless Alliance, a high-ranked mercenary suddenly commented. Elder Lei He's expression chilled instantly. Upon seeing her master's displeasure, Mengke stepped forward and pointed at Yi Wanwan as she aloofly said, "Junior sister Yi, your strength isn't bad." A book truly can't be judged by its appearance. Since it's like that, I'd like to learn a few moves from you. Silence enveloped the area following Mengke's provoking words. "Mengke, I'll keep you company if you want to exchange notes." Li Hanfeng stepped forward, blocking Yi Wanwan behind him. However, Yi Wanwan shook her head and asked with a chuckle, "An S-rank mercenary like you want to compete with a D-rank mercenary?" As soon as Yi Wanwan said that, many students burst into laughter. "Also, I don't know you. Why should I teach you a few moves? Are we on familiar terms?" Yi Wanwan added. Mengke's face visibly darkened. "Then I'll teach junior sister Yi a few moves." Chapter 1665. 1665 You teach me? Yi Wanwan stared at Mengke like she was a clown. What are you called again?" "Granny. Granny Meng? I don't even remember your name, but you shamelessly want to coach me in front of all these people? Junior sister Yi, don't have such a sharp tongue. You'll eventually eat a giant loss." Mengke's eyes sparkled icily. "I've eaten fish, I've eaten meat, but I've never eaten a loss," Yi Wanwan retorted with a snort. Good. Elder Gong, you've really accepted a wonderful disciple," Lei He said to Elder Gong with a glance at Yi Wanwan. "Your disciple is also nice. Her mother gave birth to her, but her father didn't raise her. She's very similar to you," Elder Gong calmly said. "Master, so this elder's an orphan? Is his disciple also an orphan?" Yi Wanwan curiously blinked as she looked at Elder Gong. Elder Gong thought about it for a moment before nodding. "That's right." "Ah, so pitiful." Yi Wanwan sighed. Several high-ranked mercenaries couldn't help but wipe their sweat. This Yi Wanwan couldn't have any bigger guts. She actually dared to insult and mock Elder Lei He as an orphan. It was fortunate she had Elder Gong protecting her right now, or else she wouldn't even know how she died. Young one, I think you want to die. Elder Lei He took a step forward and arrived next to Yi Wanwan instantly. At the same time, Elder Gong protected Yi Wanwan behind him, blocking her figure. Lei He, if my disciple loses a single strand of hair from now on, I'll kill one of your disciples. If my disciple dies, I'll make all of your personal disciples die without a burial place. Elder Gong said coldly. You dare? You can try. Elder Gong didn't yield a centimeter. Enough you two. Must the headmaster step in? An elderly higher-up said to the duo as he frowned deeply. Elder Lei He snorted and turned to leave with Meng Ku in tow. The friendly martial competition will be held in 3 days. At that time, I'll personally instruct Junior Sister Yi. Meng Ku's voice drifted from the distance. After Lei He left, many higher-ups also dispersed. Misunderstanding, it's all a misunderstanding. I thought you defected. Who would have expected you to really have the ability to complete an A-rank mission? I'll go right now to receive my punishment. Zhang De suddenly said to Yi Wanwan with a grin. He didn't wait for Yi Wanwan's reply, before dragging a panicked Zhang Zunyan and fleeing from this place. As for Yi Wanwan, she was too lazy to keep wasting her words with those two. Soon, Yi Wanwan successfully reported her missions and received many mercenary honor points. After that, Elder Gong brought Yi Wanwan and Li Hanfeng back to his residence. Inside a large living room, Elder Gong said to Yi Wanwan, Wanwan, your potential is immense. Lei He will definitely order his disciple to target you later. Don't participate in the martial competition in 3 days. Master will excuse you from it. Yi Wanwan nodded calmly. I have a secret technique that I'll impart to you. Back then, your senior sister Worryless took only 1 year to master it. For you, Master hopes you can succeed within 3 years. Elder Gong said to her. But I'm Worryless Nya. As Yi Wanwan watched Elder Gong teach her the technique, she felt a sense of déjà vu and instantly remembered every move and every sequence in her mind. Practice diligently. You should be able to remember the moves in 3 months with your intelligence. Elder Gong sat to the side after the display concluded. Master, I've learned it. Yi Wanwan responded truthfully. Chapter 1666. What did you say? Elder Gong was startled, thinking he heard her wrong. Master, I finished remembering the moves, Yi Wanwan repeated. Nonsense. Elder Gong frowned. For these moves you can draw the outside of the tiger, but it's hard to draw its bones. You need to use your heart to carefully analyze every move and arch. How could you possibly learn everything at a glance? So it's my fault for being a martial arts prodigy? Go back and practice it diligently. It will suffice if you memorize all the moves in 3 months. I'll test you at that time, Elder Gong added. Yi Wanwan had no choice but to agree. By the time she left Elder Gong's residence, it was the evening. Yi Wanwan went to the cafe opened by wealthy young Master Shen inside the academy by herself. As soon as she entered the cafe, she caught sight of Li Hanfeng. The cavernous cafe was fairly vacant with Li Hanfeng as its only occupant. Li Hanfeng was currently staring at a photo in his hand, lost in thought, and he didn't notice Yi Wanwan arriving behind him. Out of curiosity, Yi Wanwan examined the photo. The photo contained an extremely cold girl, who didn't seem to have a trace of human emotion in her eyes. Her whole body was akin to a block of ice. Your girlfriend? Yi Wanwan asked with a smile. Li Hanfeng immediately put the photo back in his jacket and turned to Yi Wanwan. Why are you here? Li Hanfeng asked with a frown. Yi Wanwan smiled and sat down across from him. You were able to come here, so why not me? Do you miss your girlfriend? Don't speak carelessly. That's senior sister Worryless. Li Hanfeng shot her a look. Worryless Nya. Yi Wanwan was startled. She was the girl in the photo. That's right, Li Hanfeng replied. Yi Wanwan. Only now did Yi Wanwan understand why her parents and brother didn't recognize her. She freaking didn't recognize herself, alright? She didn't expect to have been such an icy Lolita in the independent state. It didn't match her current style at all. Yi Wanwan was really curious about how she grew to become so different from her past self. Have some. Li Hanfeng pushed a drink toward Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan didn't think much of it and was a bit thirsty, so she drank the liquid in one gulp. What kind of drink is this? Yi Wanwan looked a bit flushed. A cocktail. The alcohol content is considerable, Li Hanfeng said. Li Hanfeng, fuck you. Bang. A giant noise rang out. Li Hanfeng's body flew out of his seat like a snipped kite. Yi Wanwan's intoxicated state was evident on her face. The corners of her lips turned into a wicked smirk and her expression was nefarious. An unknown amount of time passed before Yi Wanwan regained consciousness and opened her eyes. The cafe was in a state of disorder. The tables and chairs were toppled everywhere, and the bar was smashed into smithereens. The staff members looked like they had seen a ghost. Terror and panic were all over their faces. The blood at the corner of Li Hanfeng's mouth had clotted already, but his face was pale as he sat by the side. Yi Wanwan pressed down on her temples hard, the smell of alcohol reeking off her body. Are you a demon? Li Hanfeng expressionlessly stared at her after seeing her wake up. A demon? Yi Wanwan was dumbfounded. What did I do? Her last memory was drinking a cocktail with high alcohol content, and her memories turned blank after that. You don't know what happened? A server asked with a terrified expression. Yi Wanwan shook her head. How could she know what happened? Look for yourself. I recorded it on my phone, so don't try to deny it. You have to compensate for everything you damaged. The server handed his phone to Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan's pupils contracted when she saw her actions in the video. Am I freaking Popeye? Chapter 1667. Yi Wanwan watched the video, flabbergasted. The woman in the video was lightning fast, surpassing a normal human speed. You could only see the shadows of her strike, and Li Hanfeng was sent flying back in the next second. Li Hanfeng also reacted extremely quickly and swiftly went on the defense. He questioned why she was attacking him suddenly, but the woman merely smiled wickedly. However, with the ugly disguise on her, the wicked smile was truly an eyesore. Following that, the cafe was essentially trashed by the woman, and the roof barely escaped the fate of being yanked off. However, the woman in the video wasn't anyone but Yi Wanwan herself. Yi Wanwan was dumbstruck. She only drank the cocktail that Li Hanfeng gave to her, and then blacked out. Yi Wanwan knew her alcohol limit, but couldn't understand her behavior after blacking out. Since when did she become the incarnation of Popeye? Popeye only transforms after he eats spinach. I freaking transform after getting drunk. Junior sister Yi. If you wanted to have a match with me, you could have told me outright. Why did you attack me sneakily? Li Hanfeng wiped the traces of blood from his mouth, his face deathly pale. How do I freaking know? Yi Wanwan was willing to swear to the cafe's lights that she hadn't been aware she acted like this after getting drunk. No wonder. Yi Wanwan suddenly remembered how she finished off Yi Shuahan's hard liquor back at the Fearless Alliance, and her memories blacked out afterward. After she blacked out, though, everyone in the Fearless Alliance stopped doubting her identity, and even First Elder and Third Elder submitted to her. Wasn't she too freaking scary when she was drunk? When she was drunk, she simply couldn't be any more cool and awesome. If she had this kind of martial strength, she could do whatever she wanted in the independent state from now on. She wouldn't have to be afraid of anyone. Your martial technique is kind of similar to senior sister Worryless, Li Hanfeng quietly said when Yi Wanwan remained silent. Of course. I'm Worryless Nya herself. His words caused Yi Wanwan to sink into contemplation and connect this incident to something else. Li Hanfeng just said that her martial technique was similar to Worryless Nya's when she was drunk. Could it be that she recovered Worryless Nya's memories and martial strength whenever she blacked out? However, after thinking about it carefully, recovering her memories didn't seem too plausible. In the video, when she blacked out, she basically antagonized the heaven, earth and even the air. If she recovered her memories, why would she beat Li Hanfeng up for no reason? Can it be? I regain worryless Nia's martial arts skills when I'm drunk? Yuanwan thought. If it's like that, perhaps I'm worryless Nia. Yuanwan teasingly stared at Li Hanfeng. He glanced at her but didn't say anything. He slapped the dust off his body and turned to the cafe server. Put the damages here onto my bill. Sure. The server nodded frantically. Then Li Hanfeng didn't spare her a glance before turning and leaving the cafe. I'm really worryless Nia. Did you have to ignore me like that? Chapter 1668. 1668. Not long after Li Hanfeng left, Yuanwan also turned to leave. The feeling of the cafe server's terrified gaze trailing behind her left a distaste in her mouth. Yuanwan found it dull and knew she was in the wrong, so she didn't linger in the cafe. When she returned to the group dormitory, Li Xian and the others were looking at her with their eyes wide open. Zzz, have you eaten yet? I brought you some Gafen one. Li Xian quickly walked up with an ingratiating smile. Scram. A veteran mercenary bulldozed Li Xian to the side and stared at Yuanwan with a big grin. Siswan, I bought you a milk tea and luxurious delicacies. Yuanwan, what's going on? Everyone in the dorm started inquiring about her well-being and asking if she needed anything, baffling her. Siswan, you're too awesome. You actually beat up Big Dipper and 7-Star from the Fearless Alliance. Siswan, take us along next time. As long as Siswan brings us with her on a few missions, we'll become C-rank mercenaries. Realization dawned on Yuanwan. No wonder they were all so enthusiastic. Siswan, you're the second person in the entire Scarlet Flames Academy to dare to insult the higher-ups. The first person was Senior Sister Worryless. Senior Sister Worryless Nia is Scarlet Flames Academy's legend, and she created so many records. Too bad they were all broken by Senior Sister Nia Linglong afterward. A cold glint sparkled in Yuanwan's eyes. I will reclaim everything that Nia Linglong stole from me, one day. The next morning, Yuanwan arrived at Elder Gong's manor. There was another old woman inside the living room aside from Elder Gong. Yuanwan saw this old woman yesterday. She was the higher-up who was aligned with Elder Leihe. Elder Gong, your disciple must participate in the martial competition, the old woman said with a sneer. Elder Gong glanced at the old woman. Yuanwan is just a D-rank mercenary. Her participation is optional. Heh, but Elder Gong, your disciple completed 2 A-rank missions, so she's required to participate regardless of her rank. Furthermore, Elder Leihe asked the headmaster already, and the headmaster agreed. The old woman retorted with a superficial smile. Before Elder Gong could respond, Yuanwan stood up and looked at the old woman. She frigidly said, Tell Mengku and Elder Leihe that I'll participate in the martial competition. The old woman smiled and nodded. Elder Gong, you heard it for yourself. It was your disciple who's willing to participate. Her words are like splashed water and can't be taken back. The old woman didn't allow Elder Gong an opportunity to speak before she left. After the old woman left, Elder Gong turned to Yuanwan with a displeased and grim expression. Who permitted you to participate in the martial competition? Alcohol. Yuanwan, do you know why Elder Leihe requested your participation from the headmaster? It's because he wants to elevate you then make you fall to your death. A scene surfaced in Elder Gong's mind. 1 year ago, I had a personal disciple who was an extraordinary prodigy. His name was Feng Tian. If he had 3 more years, he probably would have surpassed your senior sister Worryless. Yuanwan had heard about what happened to Feng Tian from other students at the academy. Feng Tian participated in the martial competition and was nearly unrivaled, but encountered Elder Leihe's eldest disciple. During his fight with Elder Leihe's eldest disciple, Feng Tian was beaten to death. Although this kind of martial competition ended when a result was reached, there were times when fatal accidents occurred too. Chapter 1669. Leihe's eldest disciple intentionally beat Feng Tian to death, but claimed it was an accident, and he didn't control his strength well enough. Hence, the academy was unable to pursue the matter. This time, by participating in the competition, You will end up like your senior brother Feng Tian. Elder Gong sighed softly. Elder Gong added, however, you probably won't enter the finals. You should be fine as long as you don't encounter Lei He's disciples. Yi Wanwan also didn't know whether she would reach the finals, but how could she cower before even stepping onto the battlefield? Based on her smug look earlier, if she didn't participate in this competition, her master would probably lose face. Well, what's done is done. I'll go at it with everything I've got. It's not like I'm afraid of them. Master, do you have alcohol? Yi Wanwan asked him. Elder Gong was startled. You're a mercenary and a girl. Don't drink so much, Elder Gong replied. Seeing that Elder Gong was unwilling to give her alcohol, Yi Wanwan was forced to give up. After leaving the manor, Yi Wanwan immediately made a beeline for the cafe. Fill this up with the high alcohol content cocktail from last time. Yi Wanwan took out a brand new liquor gourd and handed it to the server. Yi Wanwan was exasperated as she watched the waiter filling up the gourd with the requested cocktail in a state of terror. Am I really a demon? Am I that frightening? After paying, Yi Wanwan carefully put the gourd away. Alcohol is truly wonderful. The outcome of this martial competition would rely completely on this liquor gourd. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. The Scarlet Flames Academy's rear mountain was packed with people. The typically rarely seen A-rank mercenaries were everywhere the eye could see, and there were even a lot of S-rank mercenaries in their gold uniforms present. Several large-scale stages were set up in the front already. The martial competition would officially start in an hour. The liquor gourd hung from Yi Wanwan's waist as she walked around and examined the area. It had to be said that there was truly some substance to Scarlet Flames Academy being one of the 3 great mercenary academies. They were exceptional indeed. Whether it was the higher-ups or the high-ranked mercenaries, their quantity and quality were on a completely different level from normal mercenary academies. Even if the Fearless Alliance attacked an academy like this at full strength, they would probably be sent flying back. Soon, Yi Wanwan reached the seating area for honored guests. She came looking for Elder Gong to converse with him, but before she could find him, a pair of strong hands landed softly on her shoulders. Yi Wanwan instantly spun around. Ji Xiran. Yi Wanwan was startled upon seeing the man's gentle smile. The man in white before her was none other than Ji Xiran. Yi Wanwan was about to speak when a chilly feeling sent her shivering. She reflexively looked at the honored guest seating. The man was wearing a rather formal suit, and his eyes were icy without a trace of warmth, as though he became the personification of night itself. Lord Azura. Yi Wanwan was dumbstruck. What's going on? Why are both Ji Xiran and Lord Azura here? Lord Azura's gaze settled on Ji Xiran's hand atop Yi Wanwan's left shoulder, and turned icier. Ji Xiran acted like he didn't notice Lord Azura, and was solely focused on Yi Wanwan. He chuckled lightly and asked, Xiao Feng, are you doing all right at Scarlet Flames Academy? Why are you here? Yi Wanwan frowned deeply at him. It was all right that they came, but why did Emperor Ji and Lord Azura both come? Chapter 1670 Scarlet Flames Academy invited us to watch. That's all, Ji Xiran replied with a smile. At that moment, Elder Lei He appeared with Meng Ku and other students in tow and walked toward Lord Azura. It's my honor that Lord Azura came today. Lei He greeted him with a faint smile. Lord Azura uttered aloofly, allowing Lei He to sit beside him. Master, Yi is also participating, Meng Ku coldly said. Don't worry, Master. Elder Gong will lose another disciple today. Yi Wanwan will be dealt with. Lei He nodded and turned to Lord Azura. Excuse us, Lord Azura. Elder Gong recently accepted a disciple called Yi Wanwan. She provoked my disciple again and again, so I'm afraid my disciple won't be merciful today. Lord Azura intently stared at Lei He, his eyes akin to the coldest day of winter. Is that so? If Lord Azura is interested, there's no harm in watching the show together. How about it? Lei He suggested. All right. Lord Azura looked away from him and returned to occasionally glancing at Yi Wanwan and Emperor Ji in the distance. Both Lord Azura and Emperor Ji had business relationships with members of Scarlet Flames Academy. Today, it was Elder Gong who invited Ji Xiran to watch, while it was Lei He who invited Lord Azura. Next to Lord Azura, Jiang Yan looked bewildered. How did that vixen become a student at Scarlet Flame's academy? Although her makeup was incredibly ugly, he could recognize her eyes and mannerisms even if she turned into ashes. Jiang Yan was a little confused, but he didn't say anything. Instead, he started to look forward to the upcoming matches. Elder Lei He was extremely formidable, and his disciples were fairly famous in the independent state, so it would be immensely satisfying if they could teach that vixen a lesson and help him and his master get back at her. Wan, listen to master. Do the best you can, but don't be stubbornly competitive and reckless. If you're overpowered, you can admit defeat and yield. Elder Gong vigilantly instructed Yi Wanwan. Master, I understand. Yi Wanwan replied. Junior sister, don't worry. Second senior brother will watch over you. Second senior brother will shatter the head of whoever dares to fatally attack and bully you when the match is over. A tall man with a buff build joked next to Elder Gong. This strong man's name was Jian Hu. He was Elder Gong's second disciple and possessed the strength of a bull. He was famous for being vicious at Scarlet Flame's academy. For some reason, Jian Hu had an inexplicable favorable impression of this little junior sister when he saw her, even though her face was a bit. Thank you, second senior brother. Yi Wanwan chuckled. Although Yi Wanwan didn't know this second senior brother, she found him familiar. She was guessing she had a good relationship with Jian Hu when she was worryless Nya, or else she wouldn't feel such familiarity and affection. Everyone, I'm the referee for this martial arts competition. The matches will end when a result is reached and the competitors will be determined by lottery. An elderly man announced as he stood on the central stage. After saying that, he drew 2 small balls from a closed box. A number was printed on each ball. Number 11, come onto the stage. A C-rank mercenary swiftly walked onto the stage. Number 8, come onto the stage, the referee continued. Who's number 8? The referee knitted his brows at the lack of response. I'm number 8. Yi Wanwan suddenly answered and hastily walked onto the stage. When the higher-ups and high-ranked mercenaries saw the gray-uniformed Yi Wanwan entering the stage, they all frowned. Where did a D-rank mercenary get the guts to come here and join in on the fun? Even C-rank mercenaries rarely dared to participate in this kind of competition. Typically speaking, only students B-rank or higher participated. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.